All right, we're live. Hello, guys. The
Hello.
The scheduling
We're back.
nightmare.
We're live.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are live. That's what I said.
This is the tightest. We are threading the needle when it comes to putting this podcast in.
It was.
I like how
Schedule.
Joe is on the other side of the room.
Yeah.
Am I?
He
Oh
should.
fuck!
Joe, come over. Come here.
Yeah,
Come
come
closer.
on.
Let me
Joe.
scoot in. Hold on. How do I sound now? Am I better? Am I worse?
You're the same.
Oh God! Hold on. Y'all keep talking. I'm gonna fuck around with my.
I'm sure it's actually probably fine. I think Tyler's just being a little shit.
No, you heard it too.
Maybe. I mean, I was just going along with you for the giggles.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, that is way better. You did.
Oh my god! Holy
Welcome.
shit! It wasn't using my fucking Yeti microphone. It was probably using. That's probably why I've been sounding like shit. Is Discord hasn't been using my Yeti microphone?
Yeah, I guess I should have mentioned that. I have to set it to my Yeti microphone every time we do this.
God damn! All right, cool. Hi, it's me.
Hey, the return of non-shit Joe. It's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that's how you sounded it in your place. Now
I was flabbergasted. I was like, why the fuck do I sound so bad? It's probably because I got a new camera, and I also rebooted and rewiped my computer earlier this year, which probably reset all my settings too.
Yeah, it does that.
It do that. Okay.
Anyways, Joe, since you're back to being alive, why don't you tell me some of the quick things that you've been up to this month? It's been a month since the last one. We got a lot to talk about today.
Oh god, this month? Oh Jesus Christ!
I wrote it down for you.
I know, but like it's all blocked up there. But like, I think the biggest thing that's happened to us is that we, for my birthday, played a game called Twilight Imperium, which, if you haven't heard of it, is a nice, solid 3 to 8 player game that can last anywhere between 6 to 12 hours or even 15.
Yeah, and we played for 14 and didn't finish.
Yeah.
So.
No, we finished. We got to the end. We had a clear victor.
Did we finish?
We did. We finished as best as we could.
Yeah.
That game is very good, but it is also a nightmare to schedule, set up, and have board space for. But I really, really like the game. I think it's a really great kind of. I thought we did it phenomenal. Of like, as soon as the game started, like very clearly Survivor-esque alliances were being made on each side of the board. Yeah, and I don't have enough time to explain Game of Twilight Imperium, but like basically you are each different factions with different abilities that are trying to take over the galaxy, and to do that you have to score 10 points, which are a number of public objectives, secret objectives, and some other stuff that is on the board. But a big part of it is the negotiation side of it, where you're talking to your neighbors and coming up with these alliances that you're eventually going to have to backstab because there can only ever be one clear winner. And it was just a great time of like having someone taking their turn, and then one half the table like goes into the back room and has this like fucking discussion about like what the fuck I'm gonna do.
So many secret discussions were had in the dining area that you couldn't see it where we were sitting to play, and you would like go grab a slice of pizza and someone would walk in and you'd be like, okay, when are we turning on blank?
Yeah. It was a great time. The biggest miracle about the game though was that we finished the game and everyone was just like, I want to play this game again. Which was wild to me.
Actually, the best birthday gift Joe could ask for is that.
I know.
Like it is cool that we were all exhausted, but like the spirits were still pretty high. Like even up to when some people started leaving, like they left on a positive note, which
people still want to play again.
Yeah, is impressive.
It was, and I think the biggest downside once again is its length, and hopefully that gets cut down with knowing how to play the game now.
Yeah,
but it definitely is an intimidating game of like, this day is only for this. Do not plan for anything else happening that day because it will not happen. And if like
even starting at noon was too late. Like that's how intense it was.
Yeah.
My experience with the game was like me, Tyler, and our friend Kelsey were put in the shit corner based on map generation. And I'm like, y'all, if we don't work together, they're going to eat us alive. So it was a lot of strained teaming up with those two. I had to fuck over Tyler near late game.
Yeah, it was a great time. I'm very I'd be happy to play it again. It's just once again, it's the scheduling. It's just horrendous to do. Other than that, I think everything else I've done in the past month we're actually talking about. So I don't really have anything else to communicate. Other than I've been watching Romantic Killer, which we put on very briefly once, and that's a really funny romantic comedy anime that like it's just fun. It's nice to have on the background, just a good easy time.
It's on Netflix, and the humor is quite good.
Yes, the dub is also quite good.
I started watching the English dub of it. English dub, passable, acceptable.
Yeah, I agree.
Nice. We'll pass to Bradley. Do you have anything on this hulking list?
At least for quickies, what I've been doing lately is replaying some Switch classics, and by Switch classics, I mean Wargroove, which is really fun.
Dude, I saw you on Wargroove the other day, and I was like, yo, is it 2018 again? Let me get in.
Man, Wargroove is pretty fucking fun, y'all. And the campaign gets hard. I only ever went a little bit into the campaign back when it came out because multiplayer was just more fun. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. And you know what? Maybe coming back after a few years was even better, because now if I go into the custom content, like, there's a shitload of stuff on there. I've been playing maps people make that, like, just procedurally, like, I don't, you have like one little area with like your barracks and your cities and your base or whatever, and like it'll continually spawn random enemies all around you, so it's like endless ways you have to be, and like the same guy will make multiple maps. So
that's cool.
Wargroove has been badass. And then me and Emmy just finished replaying Cadence of Hyrule, which remains really fucking fun.
That always seemed like a cool, like, good for them for getting that Zelda IP. I forgot to throw Loop Hero into the main list. I have done so now, so you can talk about that later.
Oh yeah.
I mean, how's Genshin? Because I know you've been Genshining. Don't hide from me.
Man, they just released another fucking Genshin patch, so that's just more shit for me to do.
I'm way behind.
Oh man, so they finally, whenever they release a new region, it usually takes like 3 or 4 patches for them to get through like the whole story of that region. This most recent patch released the final boss for the current region, and it was off the goddamn chain on a storyline that was already my favorite in the game.
Nice.
Yeah, this is probably peak Genshin right now.
This is peak Genshin, and it'll probably remain peak Genshin. I don't see it getting better than this.
And you'll never get to play it if you haven't already been.
Yeah, I mean, I keep thinking of, like, I can't wait to get to that content after 60 hours of gameplay. Like, on top of the multiple dozens I've put in right now, but we've done this long enough. Stop.
It's a Sisyphean feat. It's like you get the boulder up the hill and it just rolls back down.
There's so much hill. Good lord.
Yeah.
Pass to Will Do Me.
Taking this joint.
What do I got? Okay, I've been playing a game called Shovel Knight Dig. I wanted to get in here so you guys are aware of it come Game of the Year season. It is a Shovel Knight-based roguelike. You guys should watch some footage of this game because it looks gorgeous. The animation and the sprite style is off the fucking chain. The way the game works is you're going down and digging deeper and deeper down a hole. And there is like a drill machine that's above you, so if you stay too long at a part of the map, the drill machine will pop through the top, and you have to like dodge its drills as you keep progressing down. Akin to like a Spelunky Ghost. It's one of those like keep moving roguelikes, which I happen to like. I know some people don't like that pressure, but
does it just like endlessly go downward, or are there like stages?
Oh, they're stages, and they're fucking off the chain. Their per stage gimmicks are like this is Spelunky level good.
All right.
As far as like going to stages, the difficulty, like I'm ass at this, unfortunately, which is really frustrating. But like every run feels really good. The in between run progression is also really fun. It's breathing a lot of life into the Shovel Knight world, which is like I really like the Shovel Knight Switch games, or like I guess they're not all Switch. I just own them there, but like everything with this IP is good, and this is another one for the books.
I was gonna say I hadn't seen gameplay, but I saw that it had come out, and I was like, they could probably do whatever they want with the Shovel Knight IP now. Like they were one of those indie games that was just so successful, and they make quality shit that They could just make as many Shovel Knight games as they want.
If I had to recommend this to anyone, I would to Bradley, because it's got this kind of stuff I think you like in roguelikes.
I'll say that loop sounds really nice.
Man, y'all, keep going.
No, y'all. You're gonna brag about how good you are at roguelikes. I know you're about to do it.
I was actually just gonna insert another roguelike that I like. This is a combination of the last two topics, going back to oldies, to classic Switch games, and roguelites. Dead Cells has been releasing a lot of fire content for their game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this has been probably one of the most updated roguelites of all time, probably. They had this new update that came out that was a sequel to an earlier update. So the earlier update was called the Everyone is Here update. And you get costumes and weapons based on characters from other roguelikes. So they have, like,
Badass.
Blasphemous,
I remember that,
Curse
yeah.
of the Dead Gods, Guacamelee, Hollow Knight, Hyper Light Drifter, and, like, all their main weapons.
Worth noting that almost everything you listed is not a roguelike, but I'll continue. They're indies.
Sorry, other indie
Yeah.
games. Correct. You are correct. The new volume, Everyone is Here Volume 2, includes more indie games and roguelikes. So, like, they have Shovel Knight, Hotline Miami, Katana Zero, Risk of Rain 2,
Ooh.
Terraria, and Slay the Spire.
Dude,
Like,
I was about to say, speaking of indie games that release shitloads of updates and also Dead Cells, Terraria, which has said like its past 4 updates are going to be the last, is planning another new update with Dead Cells collab content.
Oh my god.
It's the last one,
the
final
last.
dot,
Like,
save
I
dot JPEG.
Journey's End wasn't even the previous update. I think Journey's End, which was supposed to be the end, I think they've released another one since then.
Yeah, Labor of Love update.
This is comical at this point.
Yeah.
It's kind of hilarious.
But also, in the Dead Cells game, the Slay the Spire weapon is a colorless deck where you play a roguelite inside of a roguelite.
Oh god.
That's kind of badass.
What?
It
What's
is.
that again? Anyways,
Yeah.
they're getting wild out here. That's
They
cool.
are.
Dead Cells is one I still need to get around to, for sure.
Yeah. Willard, we also been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel lately.
Okay, dude, I was just thinking to myself earlier today, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is so good. Like, I've, like, slowly gone from, like, yeah, I'll check this out with Tyler, to being like, this game is brilliant. It's so stupid. It's so, like, don't get me wrong, it's also trash, but, like, it is the best trash I've consumed in a while, if I'm being honest.
It's gambling. It's just gambling. But
Man, the number go up, neuron go active. It's like you just find a deck and you connect, and there's like the thing with Yu-Gi-Oh is there's so many decks and they're all so stupid broken in just different ways. Granted,
finding mastery over the deck that you enjoy playing against meta decks is very enjoyable. I think that's the dopamine right there.
yeah, like Tyler's been mastering a deck called DDD that uses every type of special summon in the game. It is, like, beyond me, but he's shown me some of the boards he can build in one turn. I'm like, I don't want to play you ever again, by the way. Meanwhile, I'm playing a deck that has, like, a brain dead combo, but takes so long that you actually run into the trouble of running out of time on the opponent's turn. Because you end with so little time left that when the opponent is playing, when the game asks you if you want to play a card from your hand, you run into the risk of losing from timeout. It is wild.
Konami be like, look at all these combos, but do less time.
Yeah, I think they're going to add a thing where, like, you get some time back to respond, which, thankfully, that's a good thing. They've also, like, recently banned what was the most toxic deck. Like, they nerfed it a good bit. They added something where, like, it tells you which effect is popping, if something's popping from the grave or, like, popping a from hand effect, which makes it...
Oh, yeah, they did a huge, like, pass on the UI.
Yeah.
So, like, they highlight what you should be focusing on inside of the card effect now.
That's really nice. Like, fuck. Like,
Joe, come back. Come back to
It's
us.
great.
Come on.
nah,
Nah.
I got other shit to do. unfortunately.
Yeah.
that's my problem.
Fair enough. It is because also the thing is like, yeah, I'll play a little Yu-Gi-Oh. It's also addicting. Like it does just consume time, and don't do that if you don't have the time to be consumed.
Yeah, like I like Master Duel. The Master Duel come out earlier this year, or
Last year.
last year. It came out.
Oh, was it last year?
Yeah.
Oh.
Man.
No, it was last year because I was playing it. Yeah. Master Duel is a lot of fun. I think though that the highlighting the specific components of a card is
Master Duel
nice.
came out in January of 2022.
Oh shit!
No, that's not. It wasn't our game of the year last year.
This year's 2022.
I don't know, man.
No,
was it our game of the year?
It wasn't our game of the year. I'm like almost positive.
Are you sure?
I
Almost?
just. Oh no, I've got it on this year.
Wait, Master Duel came out this. You're telling me I've gone through 2 addiction cycles of this game in 1 year? That's not good.
Bradley, you can play as cute cake monsters.
Dude, there's a deck where I'm like, this is the most Bradley bait shit I've ever seen. I think they're called witchcrafters. They're cute witch girls that fuck you up.
They're witches. The deck is themed around witches at school, and the main boss monster is the principal.
It's pretty good. So yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! I guess is a contender this year. I was not prepared for that. Anywho, Tyler, you have another thing. I think I moved some of this stuff to.
I got a lot of things.
I moved some of the stuff because I have stuff to say as well, and so does Joe for some of the movies we watched. But you got what is Wendyll in the Wild or Wendyll and?
Wendyll in the Wild is another Monkey's Paw production that kind of flew under the radar because it's stop motion. It is Jordan Peele's. That is Jordan Peele's like movie production company.
Right.
He voice acts in it. He is not the director of it, but he is a producer.
Right.
So you know, it's. I watched 5 minutes of it, and Kelly goes, "I'm not high enough to watch this." And then I was like, "We have to." Yeah, so we're postponing it, but like in that first 5 minutes, I was like, "This might be the escalation of like what looks weird in stop motion since The Nightmare Before Christmas." Like it's not gonna have that like Jack Skellington characterization that people love, but man, those first 5 minutes, I was like, "This is fucking insane."
Cool. I think I've heard of this. Let's check this out.
Yeah, I liked it from the first 5 minutes.
And then you guys watch Bodies, right? Like you told me you would.
Kelly didn't want to watch that one in the middle of the woods.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it does.
Oh yeah, we would. Can I throw that one on there?
Huh?
I went to the woods. I went outdoors.
Oh yeah, talk about the outdoors.
Yeah,
I went to Yosemite. I went to Yosemite National Park, one of the oldest national parks in the U.S. That was kind of neat because I've never been to a park in the wintertime where everything's covered in snow and ice.
Have you been to Yosemite before, or is this like also a first?
Never been to Yosemite before either. It's damn good looking. You be like, oh shit, that looks fucking crazy. We stayed in like a heated canvas tent cabin thing. That was cool. We had to keep an eye out for black bears. Oh. That paranoid the fuck out of me.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Oh God, what's his name? Timothy Treadwell. Don't be him.
Who's that?
I believe his name is Timothy Treadwell. He's the guy that would go out and go look at bears and would like camp literally like 10 feet from their dens, and then he would meet eventually like mauled and eaten by bears out in the wild.
That would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting how like tourist friendly Yosemite is. But at the same time, like I think it's one of the wildest national parks I've been to so far, where like the blend between man and nature and how far you can actually get lost in Yosemite is insane.
It's a cool way to put it.
It was cool. It was a cool time.
I think there's a death zone in Yosemite Park, but I might be thinking of the wrong national park.
I think you're thinking of Yellowstone.
I am thinking of Yellowstone Park. You're right.
A death zone?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're legally allowed to kill people inside of this zone, but they don't really talk about it.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop capping.
No. Yeah, it's true. There's like a spot where like if someone kills you there, there's no jurisdiction to adequately like charge you or indict you. So legally you cannot be indicted
You
with murder.
would come to our podcast and tell lies? Is this not
The
a
zone
sacred
of
spot
death
for you?
in Yellowstone National Park, where because of court jurisdictional boundaries, you could theoretically get away with murder.
Wow. Hey,
Yep.
babe, you want to go to Yellowstone Park?
It's a
I think that
50 square mile area in the Idaho section of
That's
Yellowstone
too much
National
death
Park.
zone. I thought it'd be like a 2-meter square where you have to set up
no.
like a
It-
Phoenix
it
snipe
is-
kill.
It is a loophole in the Constitution of the United States where you can theoretically avoid conviction for any major crime.
Yeah. Yeah. Go do your drugs there, kids. That's how you get your cocaine.
Yeah.
All right, Joe. Anywho, that sounds like a lovely time, Tyler. Sounds great.
It was nice. I went out and got a little overdose on grass. I'm gonna buy spikes for my boots now because walking on slippery ice sucks ass. And I also want to cosplay as my character from MapleStory in 2007 when you had to get the ice spikes in Elnath.
Okay. Sure. That is a very Tyler thing to say. I would like to see this come to fruition.
Yeah.
Halloween also happened. What did everyone go to Halloween as go?
Peter Pan.
Yeah.
AFC Richmond soccer player
From Ted Lasso.
from Ted Lasso.
I was Kuma from One Piece, and I went to 2 parties and I had 2 costumes, so I just used them both this year. I went as a can of White Claw, and then I went as Kuma from One Piece.
I went as Tamaki Suo from Oron High School Host Club.
But
Yeah.
So
but
funny.
then you transform mid-party into Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen, which is
Yeah, somebody spilt an entire drink all over my blazer that I had, so I went and just grabbed
What was
like
it
a
made?
yeah. I was like, I just grabbed a headband that I had on a wall, and I was like, all right, I'm Gojo now.
That was my highlight of that night. Okay, what is the bad guys? Is that a you, Tyler? Is that a you thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. That's the bad guys. The Bad Guys is a DreamWorks animated movie about the bad guys.
Oh, I heard this was kind of poopy.
I mean, it's got nice furry bait in it. That's definitely like over exaggerated a huge amount. Like they really just dialed the furry sexuality meter to like 130%.
Oh, is it that wolf lady?
It's a fox.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the main character is a fox who's played by somebody who's like portraying themselves as like George Clooney the wolf or something.
Wait, he's a fox? I thought he was a wolf.
So I said the fox and then the wolf. He's a wolf.
Okay.
Voice acting. I'm gonna talk about voice act. Animation was very stylized. I thought it looked great. The voice acting was really damn good. I think like it was weird. I felt like everybody was kind of like a part-time musician with the way that some of them could sing. Like some of them were crazy with their singing ability. But that was cool. I just thought it was fun. Like, brain off. I watched it out in the middle of the woods. I wasn't thinking too much.
Not poopy.
Not poopy.
Good.
Yeah.
I did miss... Okay, so I had one other quick talk. As a Pokemon game comes out, I enter into, play a bunch of Pokemon before a new Pokemon game comes out. And, there's, I guess, 3. I started playing Pokemon Masters again. That game's weird because I have a bunch of good units, but I can't clear any of the hard content, and I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. I feel really stupid.
You haven't paid enough money to get the good units ranked up.
I mean, the thing is, I can't even clear, I don't know, I'm not even trying for the hardest stuff. I feel like I should be doing a little better.
I don't know, man. Some of those are less like a lot of those masters like challenges, I really felt like you need to have this perfect trio execution, and then I still feel like I'm mashing to get the perfect timing. Yeah, they're not easy,
It's
even
hard.
with like good content.
Here's the thing. I think I can do it. I just need to like. I need to
Get
not
good.
do events. There's a bit of get good. Like the team building in that game is kind of like intense because you have to account for a lot of stuff, and I have the tools for it. I need to grind my units a little more in the sync grid and get them all to 140. But I do events instead to unlock like units and rewards there. Anyways, I'm not making progress. But that game's fun. I found a challenge that I've been like fine tweaking for what I'm gonna do for Scarlet and Violet, which I think I'm the only person that's probably gonna pick that up among us. The upcoming Pokemon game, and I came to a challenge I do like. It's like a Nuzlocke but less hard, but it took a lot of doing. I did it on Sun and Moon to test it out. That shit was fun though. Like the thing with Pokemon is, and I think I've said this before, it's like doing JoJo's where you have to do some of the legwork to make it make sense and fun. Where I have to like explain why Araki did this nonsense and be like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I have to like go out of my way to make the baby game hard. But there is the bright side is there is enough there to where I can go the extra mile and make it fun for myself because like not everything has that going for it. For example, like there's no way I could play Final Fantasy 14 and make it fun for me. And as much as I've tried, like I just appreciate that. Much to Nintendo and the Pokemon company's dismay, I can still have fun. As much as they try to make it so I can't, I find a way.
You are hacking the game, Willer, by using your Nuzlocke runs that don't affect.
I think they've gone back on that statement, but it was ridiculous when that came out, where they're like, "Hey, Nuzlocking's as bad as hacking."
I bet there was like one guy saying that.
It could be, but the fact that one guy works for the company and doesn't understand that difference is a little alarming.
I'm gonna say I know some people that work at Pokemon, and it's like, okay, I could see that coming from one person.
Sure. But yeah, if I don't, I think Tyler, were you gonna pick this up for the break, Thanksgiving break? Because it'll come out this Friday, so I'm excited for that.
Oh shit! Is it actually come out this Friday?
Yeah, actually, it'll be tomorrow at night.
So, I have all of off next week. I was thinking about trying to retackle Persona and Elden Ring. That was on my to-do list, actually.
Actually,
but now
you told me it'd be Mother 3, but we both knew that you were lying.
No, Mother 3 is the week after.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just pulling
I'm
your
scheduled. I kind of have 2 weeks off in a row. I'm kind of a bad boy.
Ooh. I have next week off, and I will probably beat Pokemon in that stretch of time.
So I probably will as well, because I kind of have a yearly tradition with Pokemon where I either play it over Thanksgiving or spring break, depending on what's being released. If it's like a sequel or a remake.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm probably pick it up. Yeah.
Bradley, I think you would like playing this one with Emily because it's got the co-op stuff at the very least.
Love me some co-op.
Joe, don't pick this up. Someone, if because like this game shouldn't sell well because like it's still. I heard people really like this one, but it still looks like ass and runs like ass. So we need the sales to be down, and I'm not gonna be the one to do it. So you gotta represent for us, Joe.
I'll do it. I just don't have the time, and it's the last Pokemon game I think like was the last bit of just like I'm kind of tired of buying a $60 game and then not hitting the nodes I wanted to hit in my brain.
I appreciate the service.
Yeah,
I wish I was strong because like I said, I still find fun, but they don't deserve my money. They're just very lucky.
That's the other thing. It's like there are tons of other games that I can play that actually deserve my money. So
speaking of Legends Arceus also came out, and I did beat that since last podcast. It'll be interesting to see which one I like more at the end of the year. I quite liked Arceus actually. I thought that was I really liked the gameplay loop, and
The Arceus came out last year, right?
No,
Am I crazy?
they did 2 big games this year. Which
Jesus
is that
Christ.
not the exact problem in display that they had 2 big games in 1 year? I think that says everything that you need to know. But and then the other little Pokemon bit is Ash won the Master Championship, a spoiler to no one. And I've always been in the camp where it's like, I hate the anime, but I like watching it when Ash is doing, like, the important stuff. Just to see the fights play out, and, like, I like the idea of, like, Charizard coming back and fighting, like, in the Gen 3 finale and stuff like that. I think that's pretty neat.
There's cool stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
I think for most of the very first series, Ash had a muck that stayed with Oak because it smelled so goddamn bad.
Yeah. Is that why? That's so stupid.
But then he ended up using it, like, in a later...
He uses it against Gary. I remember, like, this as a kid. I was like, he has a muck, and he's using it now? Like, that's
badass.
And he used Corphish, I think, too. I was like, oh, that's weird. But I like it. So what I did is I found a list of every important episode, and I've been going through it. It's very easy watching. You want to know what? Gen 1 anime is actually quite good. I'm really enjoying these core episodes I'm watching. I think the humor's, like, kind of holding up. I'm having some hearty chuckles. I like how Ash is a little, like, cheekier back then. And Misty's, like, really funny, actually. And I don't remember that.
I love how they bounce off each other, especially early on.
Yeah.
Watching the core episodes might not be the worst idea because I feel like especially on gym battles, they actually try to do some story a little bit. Like I don't know, maybe Ash and Pikachu's relationship has to grow to beat this gym. I think what makes it a slog is that in a fucking anime that I don't know how many thousands of episodes are there? Are there thousands, Earl? But what really gets you is like when they stop by route way stop number 57 and run into other trainers, and they run into mistreated Pokemon number 357.
Exactly,
and
right.
Save it from the trainer.
Because the thing is, like, this list has episodes where Ash meets a party member, gets a new Pokemon, evolves a Pokemon, does, like, really important plot, and does gyms and league matches. If I tell you that Gen 1 series is about 90 episodes, how many episodes do you think is on the must-watch list? Like take your guesses.
Of Gen 1.
Yeah, of Gen 1, which is about 90,
okay.
right? I think they're all roughly that length.
I want to say 35.
35, okay. Tyler, do you have a guess?
Sorry, what was the question?
Say, out of the, like, 90-ish episodes that is in a Pokemon generation of the anime, how many do you think are, like, the important ones?
13.
Nah, you got more than that. I was gonna guess 20, but I'm gonna bump it up to 25.
In Gen 1, it is about 30.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
No, okay, that's 30 out of 81. That's, like...
That's way more manageable.
That's a third.
So yeah, I'm cutting these seasons into thirds. So I'm looking forward. I'll let y'all know how this goes. I'll make a little tier list of each season. So far, I think it's gonna be tough to compete with Gen 1 in certain ways because Ash gets really dumb, like in the other shows. So I hope to see some of this like cheekiness because I really don't know what happens in that anime after the Gen 3 stuff when I watched it as a kid, and I was like, man, I don't like this. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. All right. Joe and Tyler and I watched a couple movies, and then also Tyler and I watched a different set of movies. So let's go over the ones we watched together as the three of us. Tyler set up a double feature movie night with the movies The Descent and Lucky Logan.
Logan Lucky.
Logan Lucky. I've seen Logan Lucky before. I've talked about it on the podcast way back when. I think I gave it like a 4 out of 5 back then, and I hold to it. That's a good movie.
That's a fun movie.
What y'all think?
I enjoyed it a lot. That was a very unexpected movie to just drop out of nowhere.
Yeah. It makes me kind of sad. Like, I guess not sad, but like the movie stars Channing Tatum and Adam Driver. And I think Channing Tatum is in criminally not enough movies. I think he's a really charismatic and funny dude.
Yeah.
And Adam Driver is just all around stellar. I think. Like, he's really gotten to the point now where I'm excited to see him in whatever he's going to be in. Oh shit! The Last Duel. We forgot to put that on, Willard.
Oh, it's on.
Okay, I didn't.
Oh, we're past quick talks now. We actually did it under
Yeah.
40 minutes. Good job, y'all. We did.
Oh
it.
my god.
Yeah, I really like the plot setup. I like the payoff of this movie too. I think you should go into this movie with just the idea of like a bunch of rednecks trying to steal from a NASCAR race,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what you need to go in with. And God, it's a funny movie. That scene with the bear in the woods was so fucking funny.
That was really good. I also like Did you say cauliflower? I'm gonna start using.
Did
that
you say cauliflower to me?
Did you say cauli? He like goes cauliflower?
Shout outs to our friend Keith for talking a bunch of skeptics into watching the movie. It's difficult.
Yeah.
It was very difficult actually locking down movies.
Yeah. Now I know. Now you did make me breakfast, so I guess I'll have to go along with your plan.
I love Adam Driver as an actor. He's great.
Mm-hmm.
We also watched The Descent, which is what I found a classic horror movie. So you want to set the stage here, Tyler, as it was a Tyler production.
The Descent is a 2008 found footage film. From what I know, people in the horror community thoroughly enjoy it.
It is not a found footage film. That's a bold-faced lie. That is not a found footage.
You're right. I don't know why I've always said it is. I think it... Well, no. I consider anything from a video camera perspective to be found footage.
No, that's not correct.
Yeah, that's not correct at all.
It's not found, like it's claustrophobic. It's shaky cam.
Yeah,
shaky cam, sure.
It's got some shaky cam in this for sure, but it's not found footage. It's just I would say just produced like a standard horror movie. But
I'll let Joe talk about it. I know a lot about it.
Yeah, I mean you do. You can talk about it. I just was like,
I want to hear Joe's opinion.
Fine. It's a movie about. Is it 6 women, 7 women? A group of women go down spelunking in a cave. Unbeknownst to them, they have been somewhat tricked by one of their friends to go into an uncharted cave and get trapped down there, only to find that there are also cannibalistic monster people down there as well.
Yeah, some sort of enemy.
Yeah. It's got a lot of like claustrophobia elements. It's got a lot of just kind of like brutal action scenes that are very 2001 or whenever this came out. And it's got a unnecessary subplot about cheating.
That one kind of annoyed me. It's like, okay, there's this character that cheated on the other's husband.
Mm-hmm. Who died in a car accident with their daughter.
Which makes the main character like depressed. So like her going back to the cave is her like coming back and like she's doing the first girls' night out. See, when we do boys' night, we just talk about video games for 5 hours. They go into caves and die. So
yeah,
I mean, I tried to get y'all to go outside.
Yeah, we're still alive, aren't we? So
yeah, we're also usually hungover those weekends that we don't want to do it.
But there's like this plot about cheating, and what annoys me is that the character who did the cheating wears the evidence around her neck in a fashion where, like, if she flips her body wrong, it'll flip the thing to the side that has the evidence. It's like, it's a two-sided little thing on her neck, and the side that faces her chest has clear evidence of cheating, and it's just chilling there. So she could, like, turn real quick, and it'll flip over like necklaces tend to do. And, like, and have the evidence. I was like, this is the cheapest way to do this.
I enjoyed the film. I thought it was a lot of fun. I do feel like, though, the claustrophobia getting stuck someplace is a lot more scary than the monsters were.
I agree. Yeah, that shit was stressing me out.
Yeah, I think if the whole movie was just them going through this cave network and having to deal with that, I would have been a lot more. I would have been a lot more scared, or just like on edge, I should say. And then
I'll skip around a little bit. We also watched The Last Duel, me and Joe, which we can talk about.
Yes.
We had a bit of a bro night where we're just like, hey, we're gonna go to this bar and down the street from me, and then watch a movie without having to juggle what movie we're watching between 6 people.
Yes, and we could commit to a longer form movie that was slower too, so we didn't have to which is I think mainly you and I enjoy doing.
Yeah, I think that's there's I'm sure other people have this issue where people are like, hey, let's do a movie night among friends, but then it's like y'all just want to watch stuff that is like well known, like you don't want to go into the deep cuts that might take a little longer.
Y'all watch Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, I do not want to watch Ant-Man and the Wasp.
But The Last Duel is about France's last duel to the death or trial by combat that they ever did.
Oh, I didn't even know that was the context.
Yes.
That was the last ever.
That's why it's called The Last Duel.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so I cannot remember the names of these fucking characters because they both start with J.
Jacques?
So I'm going to...
Jacques is one, and Jean, I think, is the other.
But I don't know who's who, so we're going to say Adam Driver and Matt Damon for the purposes of these characters. Adam Driver and Matt Damon are squires, knights within the Kingdom of France, and there is... Adam Driver's character is accused of raping Matt Damon's wife in this movie. The big kind of thing about this is that there's a lot of political backstabbing, ladder climbing that is happening that builds up to this the straw breaking the camel's back thing, where Matt Damon is the character that is going to war all the time. He's inherited a shitty homestead. He's in debt from his father. And he feels like Adam Driver has been given his life on a silver platter while he is in the dirt trying to actually make a living of himself. And then Adam Driver is the right hand of the Duke that they work for, and he's collecting all this great land and all this other kind of stuff. And so you get the perspective of these incidents from each of the characters, which is really interesting. The thing about this movie, though, is that it ends with the perspective of Matt Damon's wife, who gets raped, and it's kind of the true telling. And
it's to explain it's a story kind of like the movie Rashomon, which is a classic for being a three tales kind of thing, and then the truth, where it's a one person testifying, the other person testifying, and a third person testifying about a rape that happens, and then I think there's also a truth portion. This movie's kind of split like that, where it's the story from Jean's perspective, then the story from Jacques, and then the story from the wife's. It's fucked up that we don't remember her name.
She was great though.
It's not a J name, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. It comes very late into the movie, so what was great too is Will and I could watch this movie, and then they would say something, and we could pause and actually put our notes together about what was happening.
Yeah,
because man, they throw you in there and just start saying names. You have no fucking idea who is who. It's very confusing, and they all talk with some bit of old English. Mm-hmm. So when we walked away from this movie, I think one of my complaints about it was that the movie's just 30 minutes too long, I think, or something along those lines. And then I thought maybe it'd be a lot more compelling if we just got the view from the wife's angle. But I think after sitting on it for a few weeks, I think that's a wrong take. And I think it's very important that we have those first two angles shown to us, and then we see the wife's angle at the very end.
Interesting. Why'd you turn around on it?
Because, so I was thinking about part of the point of the message. And so when you get to the end of the movie, the climax of this movie is the titular last duel. It's a kind of intense fight between Matt Damon and Adam Driver. It's really good.
Yeah, I really like that last fight. That was way cooler than I thought it'd be.
And it's one of those things where it's when you're watching that fight, part of the stipulations is that if Matt Damon loses, his wife will also be considered guilty of lying in the name of God, and so will be put to death as well.
Laws were fucked back then, by the way.
Yeah, they had nothing going on back then.
Yeah, that was me and Joe kept repeating that because, stuff would happen, and then all the NPCs in the background would be like, "This is the most exciting thing. Let's all cheer!" It's like all they have in their lives is fighting each other and looking at the going on of the famous people in their town, which maybe is not too different from what we have today. But at least people have hobbies. I'm looking at these people. It's like these people have literally nothing going in their lives.
They go and they feed their cows and they go to bed and they hope they don't die the next morning.
It's so sad.
But I turn around that because you get to the end here, and I think if you take the wife angle out and you just have these two characters, you kind of had the fight of like, oh man, who's gonna win? And you have the struggle of like, you have the debate of like, well, I think Adam Driver's character was telling the truth, or I think Matt Damon's telling the truth. Like, you kind of get that angle because like you get their whole surrounding life of like, Adam Driver was terrible, but like he also just got a lot of flack from his friend that he kind of sort of didn't deserve because a lot of it was coming from stuff higher up than him.
Yeah, it's like this movie builds up a rivalry between these two characters that is actually pretty compelling.
Yes.
Until like, it's tough because, you know, I'm not fully out of the mindset that it's like, I feel like the first two portions of the movie did a lot of lying. And it's kind of masterful in some ways, but it's also kind of like, I just don't know, like, at the end of the day, the answer is a lot simpler than you hope from a story that's jumping so many perspectives. I think Rashomon ends with a more like, oh, it was interesting that there was 3 parts and then a truth on top of it. In this movie, it's like, there's 2 parts and they were both lies, and then there's a real truth from the woman's perspective. And to be fair, a big theme of this movie is just how badly women were mistreated back then. And I think it did that really well.
It's also like very much the silence of women, because you also in that during that segment for the wife, who I it kills me that we don't know what her name is, even the actress's name.
I haven't seen her in much, I don't think.
Yeah. But like she ends up talking to other women, and they're very much just like, the same thing happened to me. You have to be quiet, or you're just going to ruin your life and your husband's life. And it's very much that Me Too kind of movement of like, you have to be quiet to propel yourself. But the point I was getting to is that like, if you just had those 2 segments with the men, and you kind of have that like rivalry, and you try to choose sides there, and you kind of are hoping that one of your sides wins. But with the wife, it gets to a point where like, with the wife's perspective and realizing how much she's just caught up in what's essentially a 10-year-long dick measuring contest, and how unfairly she's been treated, that you're just like, I just want this guy to win, even though that he yelled at her, beat her, and all this, because she will actually be able to live. Like that's the big thing. It's like, I don't care about him being winning. I care about the fact that she doesn't die because of these 2 idiots. That's like the big thing.
True. You know what? That's a good way to recontextualize that. I like that.
And I sat there and thought about it. I was like, no, that's the reason why you have that, is because you're on the wife's side, regardless of what these other these 2 bozos are doing, because you realize that she has had nothing to do with what's been going on between them, and then she has just been caught in the crossfire. And it's,
fair.
Yeah.
But hey, it got us talking. Pretty cool. Pretty good movie. Pretty solid.
It is a pretty good movie. It's very long. Oh boy. And I don't think I'd be able to stand this movie if it wasn't for the fact that I could pause the movie and be like, what the fuck were they talking about?
As long as it is, though, the pacing is quite quick. There's just a lot happening. It is. Because, like,
it is just...
we got caught off guard. It's like, oh, we jumped so much time right now. And, like, they really do jump around pretty aggressively.
And what's really funny too is that sometimes like the movie doesn't like tell you outright how much time has jumped. Yeah. Like it's been like sometimes you'll get like a big 1 year later, and then other times just like in the quarter it's fast forward 5 years. Like
that was a transition. That was a weird editing choice. But Joe and I also watched Black Adam.
Oh, we did. Yeah.
Me, you, and our friend Kelsey went to watch this, and
it was surprisingly good, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. We are the 3 people in this planet that like this movie, aside from that review Joe posted in midcast chat. But I think he had different reasons for liking that movie. This is like, is it the best superhero movie? No, but if you're gonna say this movie's ass, then you have to like denounce 65% of every superhero movie to be equally ass.
I agree. Like to me, like when we sat down, we ate it. Like, here's my line: original Suicide Squad, is like I call it my migraine line. I cannot physically watch that movie because it makes me go into a coma.
Yeah.
Like like everything about that movie boggles my mind, in its editing choice, its story choice, its character choices, it's like everything about that movie like makes me want to go and like hit my head up against the wall. I watched Black Adam and I was like, this is fine. It's got a decent plot. I can follow it. The character motivations are there. There's some bad acting by some people, which is whatever, but hey, I'm having a fun time. There's some fun action
There's
sequences.
some good acting by some people too, to be fair.
Yeah, like it's just overall it was a very fun, like I went to the movies, I got a tub of popcorn and I sat there and I ate. I was like, yeah, I'm having a good time. Like I never felt bored in that movie.
The thing is, like, I went into that movie with the lowest expectation. I thought it was gonna be shit, and then like not even that long into it, I'm like, yo, I'm having just straight up fun right now. Like, this is just kind of fun. I liked like you were saying, I liked the plot. I liked the characters. I especially liked the Justice Society, because I was saying this feels like more of a Justice League movie than the Justice League movie because of like just the zaniness of the characters present. Like, it's not taking itself that seriously, despite like telling a pretty serious story about how some superheroes will go to some countries and help, but not others, and how those countries might need more brutal superheroes or protectors even. And like, there's this cool message about being like taking the mantle of what is a hero. It's like, that's not who Black Adam is. Like, he ends the movie knowing that, like, no, I'm a protector and you should look at me in that frame of mind. You should not look at me in the same frame of mind as the Justice Society.
He's not going out there trying to like save the world. He's just there to make sure that his own location, his world, is safe, which is interesting. And sometimes you have to like be more aggressive and you have to really kill a lot of people to get that done.
And what I like is that he was met with foils that were like, dude, stop killing people. We need to give these people due justice. And Black Adam's like, I'll think about it. And while that would annoy me in other movies, I thought they actually handled that back and forth between Hawkman and Black Adam really well.
I also was like really worried that we get like zany Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but I thought he did pretty good as like a stoic, very brick wall superhero, but still had enough character that made him enjoyable to see on screen.
There's a cool plot twist that happens in the movie that I think made the story a lot more interesting too, and made him way more sympathetic for what he is.
Yeah, and it explains a lot of like his actions and how he feels and how like, you know, he wasn't necessarily given the opportunity to be a hero, more or less.
Dr. Fate is the best part of the movie, though.
Oh yeah, dude! I was also impressed by Pierce Brosnan. I was like, "Wow, you're killing it!" I was just like, "You do not like he's acting like, you know, this is his big break into the movie business. You know, like it's wild. It's like you."
And he's got nothing to prove. Like, here's the thing, Bradley. If you watch Justice League Unlimited in particular and you liked it, I think you would like this movie because it feels like Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, it's just weird because I feel like both with the DC movies and the Marvel movies, I'll watch them and then I'll either be like, wow, that movie was shit, and then I'll go on the internet and everyone's like, I love that fucking movie. Or I'll be like, I love that fucking movie, and I go online and everyone's like, that was total shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the thing I was most worried about this is that it would be like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson jack-off section where it's like, I'm just the best, I'm the strongest hero. And like he was even advertising that movie with that energy. So like I had very low hope. That is not this movie at all. I think they like play Black Adam at the right level of strength. He's very powerful, but he's not like just bodying people and jobbing the Justice League. Like they got good hits in. They work together well when they do. So I don't know. The villain's not anything crazy, but you can literally say that about almost every Marvel movie.
Yeah,
is the thing.
like that villain has no depth. It's just a big. Ah,
There's a little bit.
I don't know.
There's some
not
national.
a lot.
There's not a lot, but there's some nationalism that leads to that. Like,
Yeah.
I think he's more interesting than, like, say, Yellow Jacket from Ant-Man 1.
That's
or
true.
A lot like Ronin from Guardians 1, and that's like a better movie, but I'll give it its fair due.
Yeah, I
I don't know. Brad,
I think
give this a shot if you see it somewhere.
Yeah, fuck it.
The one thing I think about this movie that just really kind of like brings it down for me is there is a child side character, and I just don't think his acting is very good.
No, it's not. But he services the plot.
He does service the plot, but it's also like every time this kid opened his mouth, I was just like, okay, let's move on. Like it's
Egyptian Bart Simpson, I've seen him called.
Yeah, but I will, and I don't want to like put blame on him or whatever, because he's a teenage kid and being in a big movie like that's hard anyways. But it just was it was the one thing that really kind of brought it down for me. Also, the comedy in this movie is pretty great.
I that is worth noting because I didn't think it felt too forced. It was actually pretty natural.
Yeah, I think this movie is fine. It's good. I would say upper mid, if not just beyond the mid tier.
Yeah, that's
in
where
terms
I put it.
Of like movies. So yeah, Bradley, I would say check it out. I think you would have a good time and enjoy it.
And then let's see. Let's do Loop Hero next. Actually, can we take a quick bathroom break?
Good idea.
Yes,
let's do that.
I need to pee.
Cool. All right, good bathroom break, boys. I'm glad we all made like Vegapunk and emptied our long distance ladders.
Oh my god.
That's a story for another week.
Join us in a month when we talk about
in 2 weeks. Well, yeah, actually,
2 weeks.
Maybe 2 weeks. Who knows with how crazy this shit is.
Yeah.
Okay, Bradley, you have a little more time to talk about Loop Hero than expected. I will note Tyler had to step away for a little bit. We'll see if he comes back to finish some of his bigger topics. But for now, we carry on.
Yeah. So Loop Hero is kind of hot. It was a game that I always knew I wanted just from kind of the way it looked and the descriptions I heard, but I guess I was just in a lull between games and I picked it up for, it's not even that expensive. It's like $15, maybe 20.
It's $15.
Got it on Switch, instantly played it for like 40, 50 hours. It was extremely fun. The catch of the game is you don't actually control your character. He basically automatically explores on this road that goes in a loop, and you build the world around him by placing stuff. So, for example, you can place villages, and when he passes through villages, he gets healed, and he gets quests that he can do to get good rewards. But every kind of tile you place kind of has both a boon and something that hurts you if you have too much of it, because, like, the more villages you get, the more bandits you attract, and bandits are actually really strong enemies who can destroy stuff in your inventory.
That's so wild because I distinctly remember I was talking to a friend of our, Tommy, in the live lab, and it's like, I want a game where you're not controlling the hero, but you are driving the hero to locations and you will put stuff down that attracts them to go here or gives them benefits along the way. So you're trying to like almost playing God and nudging them in the right direction, kind of thing. And that sounds exactly what I was describing.
Exactly. Like, I think before this game was made, I think I've thought of that game idea too, where I'm just like, man, if someone made this game, I would play the fuck out of it. And they did, and I did. And like, there's also cool interactions. Like, for example, as opposed to like some tiles even synergize with each other. Like, for example, you can have a village. And there's a vampire mansion tile you can place down, which it adds vampires to the environment, to battles in the environment around it. So, like, if you're fighting a slime next to a vampire mansion, there's also a vampire. The vampires are strong, which is important. Like, you can't just place down nothing and fight only the basic enemies because they don't give you very good items. But here's the thing: if you place a vampire mansion next to the village, it changes the village into a village that's ruled by the vampire, and if you go in there, now it's full of vampires and a bunch of ghouls.
Part 1 JoJo shit.
Yeah, and if you go in and you actually conquer the village and defeat the vampire and all the ghouls, then it turns into a village that is instead protected by the vampire, and you get even bigger bonuses when you move through it. So, like, It's kind of crazy, and there's a few different classes like warrior, rogue, necromancer, and I think the core of the game comes with trying to figure out how you can manipulate the environment to get them the stats you want or to get them the items you want. Like, maybe I can place a bunch of forests because the necromancer is good against the enemies that come out of the forest. So I'll be able to just farm those and get a shitload of items. Like, I don't know. It's really, really fun. And it's hard too. And the thing is, I was a little over 40 hours in, beat the final boss, which took me a few times. The bosses are like, I really had to actually strategize to beat these bosses. And then I found out that there's more secret bosses than there are bosses in the main game.
Oh, I love that. That's like I love stuff like that.
Seriously, the only gripe I have with this game is that there's not more of it. If there was more, I would still be playing. It was very fun.
Are you done? Like you did the secret bosses too?
There's only one secret boss I haven't done, and I'm gonna be real.
I'm not gonna do it.
It probably ain't gonna get done.
Dude, Bradley, I really want to find time for this. This seems really interesting.
Yeah.
And I've never even seen gameplay, and I kind of want to go in that mindset. I just want to...
Oh, and that's the other thing. I thought I was just gonna like this for the gameplay. I didn't realize this game actually had a story that goes with it, and it was kind of fucking awesome. So...
This is a sleeper hit, like, out of nowhere.
Yeah, I would recommend to most people, honestly.
Dope.
I would suggest Inscription before Loop Hero.
Inscription also I think came out on Switch pretty recently.
They came out very close proximity to each other earlier this year / late last year. Yeah, I don't know. I played a little bit of Loop Hero with my roommate and watched him play a lot of it, and it hit me back on that Devolver Digital I'm not gonna enjoy the next 10 hours of this game after I enjoy the first.
Tyler hates two things very strongly. No, not A1 horror movies, but from that director specifically, whose name I forget, but the guy who makes Midsommar and Devolver Digital games. Which is fair.
You know what I'll say? I'll say this is a very good game to multitask with if you're watching something or you're listening to an audiobook or even just fucking reading a book, because you can go into the options and change the rules for whenever it pauses your adventurer going around, because you can make it pause after every time he wins a fight in case you want to min-max and equip the best loot after every fight. But I just set it to pause whenever he eventually makes it back to his camp. So I could just set him off adventuring, and I could go pee for a minute and a half and come back, and he's at the camp with all brand new loot, and I can fucking figure out what I want to equip.
I think it's no surprise that I'm always in the market for good multitask games, because
it's always good to have one.
That's how I get so much shit on this podcast. I'm always multitasking. So cool. I mean, shit, man. I want to find time for this to check it out a little bit.
Yeah, it's a good one if you got a lull. Mm-hmm. Or even if you don't, it's just fun.
Bradley, you should really play Amori with Emily.
Dude,
you would need each other's emotional support, and I really want your take on that game. Actually.
That is my next Switch game. That one's getting done before. It's getting done before Game of the Year.
Because I had a 3-hour drive with Tommy the other day, and we got to talking about Amori because he played it. I was just it's so interesting to hear people's takes on that ending. I just know Bradley would have a good take.
That's my last game that I'm I have to get this one done before Game of the Year.
Yeah, I just have God of War and Pokemon, and then I will be satisfied.
Oh, yes.
Tyler's back, so I did want to quickly ask Tyler about Life After Beth and Barbarian, which we watched Halloween weekend together.
Life After Beth, I'd call good cult horror film, probably top tier. I would put it in the same genre as the movie Odd Thomas, where you just kind of get sucker punched out of left field. And then you're just oh, that's what this movie's about. Damn good. I'm not going to tell anybody what it's about.
Yeah, and I'm not going to either. I will say that, Tyler put it on relatively with no explanations. He just he's trust me on this one. Very right. I really like that movie. Actually, it's got a fun
It's
sense
got
of humor.
Aubrey Plaza
Yeah.
and Dane DeHaan, John C. Reilly, Anna Kendrick, Molly Shannon.
I cannot picture anyone else in that role than Aubrey Plaza. I think she was like actually perfect for that role.
I'll give you the first 5 minutes. The main character's girlfriend dies, and then he has to deal with life after Beth, and that's what the movie's about.
Roll credits.
Yep.
And
go watch it. I would say that is, if you enjoy Shaun of the Dead and movies like that, you will enjoy Life After Beth.
Agreed.
Or
Nice.
Hot Fuzz.
That's good. That's good to know.
It's got that energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
And then we watched Barbarian for the first time. Now, granted, I came in halfway through the movie, so I'll tell you my perspective as someone who only watched half this movie. But Tyler, what did you think of Barbarian? It's a recently released horror movie.
So this movie was marketed, like, I remember the marketing, like, I would see trailers for it on, like, YouTube, and it's like, this is the scariest movie since the dawn of time.
Oh, fuck off.
You
Is
will
that really?
shit your pants in the theater.
That's every horror movie,
Okay,
I feel.
but-
At least one a year.
I don't know. This
and
was not that,
immediately
let me tell
after
you.
that, I was like, oh, this movie's gonna be absolute ass. Like, as soon as I saw that trailer, I was like, I'm destined for this movie to be shit. The movie isn't terrible. I could see a lot of people enjoying it.
I could see a lot of people hating it because it's got a very men bad vibe. And
Which it's so interesting because literally the movie Men came out like 2 months before this.
Yeah, it is
Like,
interesting.
and I thought, like, at least that one's on the nose and making it what it's all about. Like, it's weird because if you make something like about it's early M. Night Shyamalan and like The Village, okay? Where I'm gonna spoil The Village if you haven't seen it. And
It's a really good
not my
spoiler.
fault.
Do step away if you haven't for a little bit.
But like in the movie Men, you're like, oh, men are gonna be evil, and you're like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like
men were
that's
evil.
what I'm coming here to watch, and that's what I'm here for. But like in Barbarian, it's kind of like The Village, where you're like, oh, I'm gonna watch this movie about this girl being scared, but there's this weird subtext, and it's like. In The Village, also, you're like, oh, I'm going to watch these people who live in this, like, 18th century village in some weird town, but it's actually, just some weird fucking Amish community run and managed by this weird brother who dresses up as a werewolf.
What a twist.
Yeah, it brings back Justin Long, too, which I like Justin Long. He knocks it out of the park in this role, to be honest. Like, well, what a good position for him to be in.
Is he the guy?
He's the guy that owns the house.
Okay.
And,
Yeah.
That's the half of the movie I didn't watch. Okay.
Yeah.
It's also got Bill Skarsgård in the
Yes.
first 10 minutes of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
This movie just has like a lot of plot holes, a lot of conflicting messages it's trying to send. The main monster is an SCP monster / the smoker from Left 4 Dead 2.
I don't
Yeah,
know what's
like-
SCP about it, but sure.
It's I don't know. It's
It's-
a extremely mid movie that if I were to categorize it into my movie night, I would say it is in 1-star movie night.
It's you know how in Dan Dan, the terrible granny wants you to suck on her tits. That's the villain of this movie, but like they're really into that aspect of it.
Do you know where that monster came from?
What monster? From
The-
Barbarian?
Yeah, you got the backstory of the mother, right? In that movie, you saw that part.
Yes, I
correct?
came in during the flashback.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Incest is a big deal these days. It's a hot
Yeah.
button issue.
I I watched the Red Letter Media review of this. They went over the plot. It's interesting, but also it's very funny because I've seen a lot of reviews of people not understanding the message of the movie, which is always a funny good time. It actually seems weirdly enough something that I would decently want to. I don't want to say enjoy it, but like it's doing something strange and different. I would say it may be interesting for me.
It was interesting. I think the last act is pretty weak though.
Yeah,
I like to me, the message of the movie is this girl who's the main character misjudges every single character she interacts with, and gets extremely fucked over because of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the good message to take away.
It could be extrapolated to like just don't trust men because every character she mistrusts
No.
is a
It's
god.
not just men. We're gonna go beyond that. Like that's I think the very basic surface level. If I wanted to treat it like genuinely objectively, the message would be you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Yeah.
Like, she misjudges. Like everybody misjudges every other character in this show or in this movie to be somebody who's out to get them or not out to get them.
Yeah, like Bill Skarsgård character. Like the setup is like Bill Skarsgård character and this woman accidentally both booked the same Airbnb on the same weekend through like two different booking companies. And Bill Skarsgård the entire time is just like, I'm trying not to be a threat. I promise you not. I just been a mix up, and he's doing everything possible to like really showcase that he is.
Seeing that part would have given me a better understanding of these themes.
Yeah, he's very much trying to be like there's this bottle of wine that I have. I didn't open it because I thought that if I opened it while you were in the room, you would think I did something to it. So I just want to. If you're wanting to share it with you, I'll share it with you. But I didn't want to open it until you came back into the room. And like he's like giving her his like information. Here's my ID. Here's where I'm going tomorrow. And like he's doing everything possible to do that. And the entire time, this woman's just like, I don't trust this guy. This guy's really weird. He's
maybe
like,
guilt over that situation is why she acts kind of stupid in the second half.
Probably
That kind of tracks. That makes sense to me.
Yeah,
the movie's extremely mid. It's interesting. Sure.
Well, I think if you watched it from front to back, you would enjoy it a lot more than Tyler did.
My critiques on this movie are non-consequential.
I would say I have been entertained / scared by better no sleeps.
There's some good no sleeps.
Horror stories.
I feel like this movie is directly pulled from like an r / no sleep.
Tyler, you wanted to talk about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022. The fact that this came out and I haven't heard of it is pretty wild.
I have seen every mainline Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie.
How many is that?
So I think there's 7 Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. So this one was a direct sequel to the first one. I've also seen the 2006 one, which is like a prequel. And then there's a 3D 2013 that's like a sequel to the prequel. And then there's another prequel called Leatherface.
Yeah, that's what this one's the sequel of. I think according to
No. We talk about the 1974 version. This is a sequel to the 1974 version. Which 1974 horror, it's like we get it, like you don't have cell phones or anything cool like that, but
They have nothing going on.
you still feel like people make a lot of dumb decisions. Seeing the 2006 one, I had only seen it once, and then I started watching this one, and it just brought this like flood of core memories back into place where I go, oh yeah, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre only makes sense if everyone is a fucking dumbass. Like,
It's one of those horror movies.
and then I realized I'm the one in the wrong, actually.
Oh.
It's not one of those horror movies. This movie, the Texas Chainsaw Massacres are not movies meant to inflict fear. They are meant that the main character is actually Leatherface, and you are following his story and whoever he kills.
They're catharsis movies of killing teenagers.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
From what I understand, the Jason movies are kind of like that as well.
I think that's what all of them are about. The Freddy, the Jason, the Chainsaw Massacre, the Scream, these classic slasher movies where it's...
Yeah.
The point is,
it's
you're
like
not
playing
supposed
Until
to
Dawn in
like the
Quarry.
teenagers.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah. And I always struggled with that growing up, where it's like, you know, I wanted to be like we have the concept of protagonist, antagonist, anti-hero, concepts like that, and we get some of the anti-hero type shit in like Freddy versus Jason, where like you want to root for one or the other.
Yeah.
But otherwise, these guys are just the antagonists in these movies, and it's like, well, I thought I was here, you know, supposed to watch the protagonist. No, I'm supposed to hear. I'm here for Leatherface's journey. I'm not here.
His character development of tearing through kids.
Yeah, like I am here to watch him just fuck some people up. It is the Godzilla of human people just fucking other people up.
This has been the culmination of your recent horror movie arc. This is a cool insight. I think you're right though.
This has been a year of revelation for Tyler and storytelling, just period.
Like I said, character development is occurring, and I have records of it on a YouTube channel.
I know.
Yeah,
Delightful.
it's good. It's good. It makes you really actually want to root for Leatherface in this movie. So you have these people, these young teens, they're driving out to the middle of nowhere in fucking Texas. They're gonna start some like food truck business, like town out in the middle of fucking nowhere that people have to drive 7 hours to get out to.
A food truck town. That's a neat concept, I guess.
It's probably a spinoff of Marfa as being an art town just in the middle of like nowhere, Texas. And meanwhile, they're, you know, interacting with the local fanfare of creepy people lining up to get us to the main town. They interact with like creepy gas station dude, creepy cops dude, creepy guy at the gas station getting gas with a gun on his belt, and it's very like Gen Z about like the Texan with the gun on his belt, the weird people at the gas station, like the guy at the gas station calls them gentrifuckers because they're gonna gentrify this small town.
That's a new one.
And I'm like, all right, I see it. Well, anyway, they show up into this small town, and it's following this man and this girl. They're like duo chefs or something, and they're like the leading people who are like setting up this town. With them is the girl's little sister and the man's wife. The man's wife is so like we have preppy looking Gen Z short hair girl. We have the younger sister who was in a school shooting. We have black businessman, and we have his fiance, blonde white woman. I'm being very specific with these because we do follow typical horror movie roles with each one of these characters.
Damn, sucks for that business guy.
A little bit. You know, there's some mixing and matching there, but
is the school shooter the final girl, or not the school shooter?
Of course. Like I'm not even gonna like sugarcoat that. Like if you don't know that going in, I'm sorry. Go watch like a bunch of other horror movies. You'll find out that it's the one who's always been abused.
Yeah, that's true. That is the final girl archetype.
Yeah. we get a lot of build up for Leatherface's character. But there's this orphanage in the town, and they go and there's like only 2 people in it, and they think it's abandoned actually because it looks like this saloon type town from like the Wild Wild West. They go up and they're looking for like there's a Confederate flag on it. They're trying to get it down, and then this woman comes out and she's like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, we didn't know anybody lived here, but actually it's not your house. We have the deeds to everything in the town." And she's got this little like air canister with her, and she's like, "No, this is my home. This is where I live." And then the short-haired, curly-haired business girl, she's like, "No, fuck you. You don't live here. Get out of our property. You have to go. Get the fuck out." And she starts like dying on her ventilator, and the son comes downstairs, and the son is Leatherface. It's very set up. He's got like this scratched out picture and shit on the wall, and he's like being creepy with his walking movements and all that stuff. And blonde fiance goes with the cops because the cops come and arrest the woman because she's not on her property. Anyway, the mom dies. Leatherface turns into Leatherface. He like breaks the cop's like arm off with his bare hands.
Dope.
That does a chain reaction and shoots the cop in the driver's seat. And then he walks around and stabs the blonde girl with a shard of glass. Anyway, he starts doing his killing spree. He skins his mom's face, puts it on, dons his armor, and sets out into the sunset. He throws a couple chainsaws, fucks some people up, all to find out that the short curly-haired girl actually did not have the deed for the mom's house who died. So that's the redemption story, is people walk into town, kill Leatherface's mom, and then he just kind of does what he needs to do about it, you know?
This is like pretty, aggressively like he's the protagonist when you put it like that.
Yeah. I mean, he throws a couple chainsaws in it. That's really cool. The main woman survivor from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre shows up.
That is such a gimmick these days, if we're being honest. Like, that's happening enough to where I'm getting kind of like, I'm not interested in this gimmick right now.
Yeah, thank Halloween for that.
Yeah, but
And
Halloween's
Aliens.
cool.
Yeah. But it's great because she's just as dumb as she was in the original movie. Like, she walks up with a shotgun pointed at him, and she's like, "Say my name," and then he just like chainsaws her shotgun off. It's a cool movie. If you just want to see some people get fucked up, very fun.
Nice.
Very fun.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even spoil all the good shit about it either.
I feel like you just have the basics. I probably know who's gonna die first and last, and that's about it.
Actually, it's great. I didn't spoil those.
Okay. We're gonna go through the next 3 in quick succession. We got.
Oh boy.
So I played Bayonetta 3. I have a question for you 3. What do you know about like fan perception of this game in particular? Have you heard anything in the ether?
I have seen dozens of content.
Dozens of I don't know what that means.
Dozens of content.
Dozens of hundreds of content. In support for Bayonetta.
Okay. Anyways, Joe, what have you heard?
I've heard that like the game environments are not the prettiest because of the Switch's power. I've heard a lot of divisiveness about the kaiju or like the demon monster abilities that Bayonetta has, and that people like. There's a group of people that think they're very fun. There's a group of people that think they break the flow of combat too much and they're too clunky. I hear people like enjoy the game and think the game's good, but it's just also very held back in some other parts. And that's not even talking about the voice actor drama that happened.
Cool. None of y'all know the actual hot topic with this game, so let's go through it.
Okay.
The voice acting.
No.
The voice
None
actress.
of y'all know the actual hot topic with this game. So,
okay.
Bayonetta 3 is the sequel to Bayonetta's, which is a action game, like, say, a Devil May Cry. You do get ranked and rated for how good you are doing in the combat, which is something that sets these games apart from other action games. You have to do the combat well for the game to reward you well for it. And you can just play the game by mashing, and Bayonetta really supports that as well. But if you get stylish and you do well and you don't get hit, you do stuff fast, you get good medals for it. And like people who play these games strive for that.
So when you say you get rewarded, like what do you get?
You'll get a little bit more, we'll say EXP to spend in the skill tree, but really it's a personal, like in Devil May Cry, if you get a B rank and you still pass the stage, you still pass the stage. But as like a player, there's that number, there's that B there, and you're like, I could get that to A, and eventually I could get that to S. It's a personal thing. With Bayonetta, you have bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and pure platinum for your ranks per battle. And
it probably also just feels good to be stylish when you're killing stuff.
Because that's the thing, right? When you have a moveset as impressive as that, you want to use it to its potential. And when you do so, you coincidentally will also get the good rankings. So it's synergistic that way, right? I think this game's combat is insanely good. To address the kaiju thing, I think the kaijus are so fucking cool. The variety in them, you basically get to summon them at any point in combat, and you have about 10 of them. They all function so different from each other, and you unlock moves for them, so they have like very unique functionalities. One of my favorites is a giant frog called Ball. Ball's our attack is she will sing a song, and if you can sing that song 4 times, she will just rain poison on the entire field like it's a screen-wide nuke that does insane damage. Another fun summon is a Umbral Clock Tower. It's a giant clock tower that like opens up segments in it to unlock like guns and arms, and like the top of it will chomp down on opponents. You have one that's literally a demon train with chainsaws that come out the side. They get really creative with these. What's even better is this has the most weapons of any character game ever. These weapons are fucking nuts. I think someone like Bradley would get a big kick out of like just the nonsense that you can do with Bayonetta's moveset. I would say it's like, I talked about how Dante's moveset in Devil May Cry 5 is like peak action game. Bayonetta is basically, she has more moves than Dante, she just can't use them all at once. But you can pause and switch and your weapons and such. So overall, she has more options going for it. So the combat is fantastic. The problem with the environment's 100% founded. No game has made me hate the Nintendo Switch more than this game, because you feel you feel the creativity of these devs being stifled. Like they're doing some insane set pieces, and you're just like, this could have been better on a more PlayStation or Steam or anything. Unfortunately, it is locked to the Switch. It's like, shit, man. Don't tell me that these things don't matter, because you feel it straining against that wall as you're playing it. And yeah, like it's fantastic. A big flack that the Bayonetta games get is that there's a lot of mini games that kind of break up the pace. While I think this has the most content. Period. I also think it has the most fun mini games. I think there's a good amount of skill, and they're fast enough to where on each stage, say there's 12 or 10, we call them verses. They're like big battles or set pieces. Only 1 or 2 of them are like a gimmick or a mini game. There's another playable character in this game. She's fun, but everyone sucks as playing as her. Like, universally, she's just incredibly hard to play for some reason. A fun note, she's voiced by a YouTuber that I followed that does like a bunch of voices. I think she's called Brizzy Voices. I think it's like her first big role. So that's good for her.
That's cool.
The actual controversy with this game. So Bayonetta games don't have good stories to begin with, just universally. This one has like a story that's driving people insane. Like,
it's the multiverses thing.
To some people, this story is so bad that it ruins the entire game. like people that love the game get to the finale and are like, that soured me on the whole experience. I've seen this opinion multiple times. On a Bayonetta game, it goes from being like a story that's bad and you can ignore to one that's turning people off the game completely. I am not on that camp, and the story's not good, by the way, just straight up. But at the same time, it's not that much worse than another Bayonetta game. The thing that gets me, like, I guess more optimistic than others is that I'm like almost 100% sure that the status quo that we leave this game off would just be reverted in the next Bayonetta if they make it. This is already a niche series, so I don't know if there would be a Bayonetta 4. People do not like the status quo where this game ends. I'm like, you're insane if you think it's going to stay that way. It's just not going to happen. And like, none of y'all care. I'll spoil it. Step away. Yeah. Or maybe don't, because I might save you some heartbreak. There's two big things to this story that gets people pissed off. One, this game has been called the 9/11 for gays.
What?
The 9/11 for gays.
What does this mean? I'm sorry, comeback? Did you say cauliflower?
Did you say cauliflower?
That is a ridiculous statement.
My god!
It was made by a podcast that I love listening to. They're very funny.
I cannot fathom what that could possibly mean. Like, I am so excited to know what this potentially could mean. Like, so, I can't...
Joe, by the way, you should 1,000% play this game. It's fucking fantastic. And you're not going to care about the plot. You don't have any context.
Oh, I didn't care about Devil May Cry 5.
The story's cutscene in a game ever, Joe.
It's like... Bayonetta's fun because it's cool to watch Bayonetta style on people, and she does that a lot. The multiple universe Bayonettas, like... They all do cool shit. Like, there's a cool Egyptian Bayo that looks so fucking sick, and then this E-Girl Bayo that has these yo-yos as her weapon.
That's pretty
cool. The problem with them is, like, they'll do their cool thing, and then they'll kill the boss, and then the two Bayos will look at each other, like, high-five each other, and then the boss is like, I'm still alive, and then they'll kill the alternate Bayo. That happens 4 times in the story. Like, not even joking. The real problem is, Bayonetta has been historically shipped with a character called Jean. It's like her Virgil. For any Devil May Cry fans. It is like her rival witch from the first game, and then in the second game, Jean gets dragged to hell, and Bayonetta goes out of her way to save Jean. And also, to be fair, in that game, in the first cutscene, Jean and Bayo have the most gay aunts who have good income and are giving you a bunch of gifts for Christmas energy that I've ever seen. Like, it is...
This is in Bayo 2?
This is in Bayo 2. You can just watch the first cutscene and be like, oh yeah, those are your gay aunts, for sure.
Yeah.
However, that's never been canon, and there's also the angle where it's like it's her lost sister because like they're in a witch coven together, so they're like sisters in that way. And then there's this bumbling idiot called Luca. Bayonetta's always flirted with Luca since the first game, and he wants her so bad, and she's never like she just likes toying with him. So in this game, Bayonetta and Luca end up in love at the end, and they both get dragged to hell. So that's point 2. Is that Bayonetta dies in every multiverse at the end of this game. But it's also like... So that's why it's the 9/11 for gays, is because she ends up with a guy. It is the most absurd thing I've heard, but that... People really did not like that aspect of the game, to be fair.
But don't they know who's making it?
The guy who designed Bayonetta wanted her, like, he designed her and, like, this is the hottest woman for me. Like, that's the kind of, like, character he created. So, like, those are the two main things. Like, Bayonetta dies at the end, but it's like, first of all, when Jean died in 2, the plot is literally just rescuing her from there, so we're just going to do that next time. Or, the other multiverses did get restored, it's just not explained well in the plot, you have to, like, read the files to get that.
Man.
So the other Bayos are back anyway, so, like, it's fine.
After playing the original God of Wars, and in the original God of Wars, Kratos has literally died in every single game and crawled his way out of hell. I'm like, if an action character dies, they're coming back one way or another.
Yeah,
like, it's
no big deal.
I think the only main character that's ever been killed has been, like, Shepard.
That's a spoiler for me. Who does that?
He dies multiple times as well, so don't worry about it.
The only time that's ever been killed has also been revived multiple times, so... There you go. There's that Last of Us character that shall not be named.
Joel.
Yeah, Joel. Anywho, that's all I got to say about Bayonetta 3 for now. I fucking love this game. And I enjoy playing.
Go become a demon train.
Yeah, it's the fusion versions of Bayonetta and the demons are very cool.
Bayo's on my list to play. It's just everything else has got to get done first, so it probably will be beginning of next year game,
and we'll talk about it. I think you'll have a blast.
I think that's what
and
it'll
you'll
be.
also come to hate the Switch with a burning passion.
I've already gotten tired of it.
All right, y'all, talk to me quickly about Mario and Rabbids. You both started playing this.
Game's good.
Game is good. I think I am of a biased opinion that I've played XCOM 2, so I get very bored of this game very quickly, but I think game is very good.
I did get bored of this game very quickly as well.
Yeah.
Damn, I thought you were so high on it, like when you talked about it.
I'm gonna keep trying. I want to keep playing it because like I have fun, but it feels like I've played it before.
Yeah, that's every scenario feels very much the same, even though they are different. Is that too wrong of a statement, Tyler? Like,
no, the enemy it's weird. It's really weird to just have random encounters be like the 4X XCOM encounters.
I need to play some more. I think I'm gonna play. This is gonna be my Thanksgiving game because I'm going away. But it's like one of those things where it's just like, if I gave this to a 10-year-old version of Joe would have a fucking blast with this game. I think
it would have been the best game ever.
Oh yeah, I would have loved this game. Like it's got the Mario characters. It's got this tactical side of it. It's got this like RPG element. I'd be like, this game's great. I love playing it on the car or whatever. But as an adult, you can't help but feel there's just something missing to really keep your attention on it. And I think part of it too is just like I'm an adult. So like part of the funniness of like the Rabbids is not really appealing to me.
That's always turned me off. Like, I'm just not gonna. Bradley, this kind of mirrors how you felt about the first one, right?
The Rabbids are pretty bad, dude.
I don't think they're that bad. I also just don't think like
I liked the Rabbids.
I think they're kind of funny, but it's just not 100%.
I got the first game on sale, and like as far as I played, I stopped several hours in, and where I stopped, it was still pretty easy, but it was clearly still like borderline tutorial world.
Yeah.
So I wasn't enjoying that, but what really got me is I didn't like, and I don't know if the second one is the same. In the first one, you are required to have a rabbit on your team at all times.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
And it's like, is that, Bradley, is that really big enough of a deal that you would stop playing the game? And it kind of is. I don't want to be a rabbit. I want to kill them.
Good news, Bradley. You don't have to do it in this game.
Thank God.
Yeah, but too little, too late. Let's be honest.
Yeah. So it's just like, I think the art's really great. I think the creativity of the weapons are fun. Like Peach shoots people with this fucking cannon umbrella that's ridiculous. I think it's so funny.
Yeah, it's great.
But it's also like I sit down, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna play some Rabbids, and I play like one or two missions, and I'm just like, I'm done. I can't do more. It just it doesn't. There is this like hook that goes into my brain that makes me go like, yes,
like,
good.
Here's the thing, like you compare it to XCOM. XCOM has the brutal difficulty, the permadeath, and the base building stuff to like.
Yes.
There's like an in between game. As far as I understand it, this game is just like you do a battle, you level up, you customize your guy a little bit, you do the next battle.
I think that might be part of it. Is there is no in between meta game that you are doing that like it's lacking one of the fishing stages of like that's really engaging. Like where it's an XCOM after you finish the mission, you go back and you're like, how do I upgrade my base?
Or how do I get my life together because we just lost our biggest members,
Right. And like I think that's a lot more interesting. And I don't think a game needs that to be fun for a tactical shooter game like this, but it also just feels like I would rather just be Mario running around like jumping on people in this than doing the tactical shooter stuff. Like the genre and what's happening in the overworld don't match up. I think that's the other thing is why does this have to be tactical shooter Mario when we're running around collecting coins in an open world kind of a thing? You know? Does that make sense?
This is all recorded in my mind for when I need to dunk this at 40 in the next game of the year.
Yeah,
I do want to say it is a good game. Like it is
very good.
Yeah, it's just I don't think if I wanted to play a game that's like this, I have 100 other games that are worth playing more than this game.
And it's like it's not even made for babies.
It's not.
Because like I'm struggling on some of the hardest difficulties. Like
Yeah. It's
Maybe we're just too old and we just are like, yeah, I kind of don't have the time to play a game I would really love to play anymore.
Yeah, I don't like. There are some missions that are fucked. Like there's a mission where you can only be Mario and Luigi. You have to get to the other side of the map, and then like halfway through, they just spawn these guys that just insta kill you if you don't get there fast enough.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
It's great. Like, there's a lot of good stuff. Maybe it's really hard for me to find out why I don't want to keep playing this.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a puzzle, isn't it? But
yeah,
maybe
you're just not feeling it, man. It just is what it is.
I think it's just one of those years where I would rather just play other stuff.
That's the thing. That's why I didn't even try. It's like I might like this, but like I have other things I can play if I have time. Like it's fine. I can live without.
Like the best example was I went home for the weekend to go visit my family, and I had several hours to kill until like my parents came back from work or doing whatever they were doing. And rather than play Rabbids, which was my intent, I just kind of sat and watched Simpsons. Like not even like at the same time of playing Rabbids, I just sat on the couch with my dog and just watched the Simpsons.
You just vibed, man.
Yeah, I just vibed. And it's like, nary a thought in my mind.
Well,
yeah.
All right. F tier game. Anyways, I watched Film Red. I think, Joe, you did as well?
I did as well. Yeah.
Let's talk about it without spoilers because I really want Bradley to watch this movie. I think
very good. I really want to watch it as well.
I think you would like this movie. But Joe,
I'll say it sounds like it's one of the good ones.
Joe, I'll let you hate on it, and then I'll tell you why it's the best One Piece movie.
I really don't. I like when these movies just focus on the Straw Hat Pirates, and I think there's just an overbloat of cameos in this movie.
Then you hate every One Piece movie because they all have cameos like this.
No, Gold was fairly firmly placed on the Straw Hats. I will say, like they are pretty much center stage, and they are the core cast of characters.
That's that's the only because Strong World has like the unique characters that are also like kind of main characters and there's that one Stampede is all cameos.
Oh Stampede's nothing but cameos. Like I just for this I got very bored watching this movie. Like multiple times I felt very bored watching it, and I was just like, whatever. I just want to move on to the next beat or whatever we're doing. I just felt like there was a lot of just fluffed up space. I will say, I think Uta was a great character.
Uta is easily the best non-manga One Piece character.
Like, really?
Uta's not only so good that I would actually rank her in my top 10 One Piece antagonists. Like,
that's like, I've been really just wondering what the opinions of that character were going to be when I first saw them.
So I think a big thing about it too was that when I originally came to this movie, I thought Uta was going to be very much not necessarily like a damsel in distress, but
that is not the plot of the plot of this movie.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was going to be. That was just my assumption.
Yeah,
no,
I keep seeing a music video like advertisement with Uta in it on like Instagram.
She's a pop singer. Also, so I should mention that I had to see this dubbed because the sub versions were in.
Oh my god, you fucked up! I could not stay. If I had to watch this movie dub, I would have shot my head.
But what's funny is that like they don't dub any of the singing. Like all the singing's in Japanese.
Yeah, I heard they had to they've dubbed it now that you can listen to it on Spotify. But it's like, is there going to be a cut with the dubbed songs?
Wild.
Here's the thing about this movie, right? Absolutely agree. The cameos are bad. In fact, here's the thing, Joe. There are some cameos I would have kept, and they are specifically Kobe and Bueno. I would have kept both of them.
I like those.
I would have probably thrown away almost everyone else. There's not that many of them, to be fair. There's some minor ones. There's the two that show up in the concert. They did not need to be there.
Oh my god, I was laughing so much because I was so fucking dumb.
There's a good joke with it, for sure. It's just they didn't need to be there. The Big Mom Pirates that showed up didn't need to be there. In fact, this movie, it's impossible to play this chronologically because it is both before and after Wano. You cannot place this movie.
It's so wild.
It also, is in an alternate dimension.
The Sunny gets a cameo somehow. Most trash bait character ever.
The Sunny heard the song, Joe. I think that's actually more telling to future plot threads than you think.
But it's also just like it very much was just like we want to make a cute character to sell merchandise kind of a thing.
But like, some of the cameos were good. Some of them are. I will say like the boring part was right after those two characters I said I didn't like showed up. Yeah, that was like the biggest drag of the movie.
That's the segment about it. I do like
the story is actually really good. And the fact that it's coming out now, after we have finished the Wano arc, speaks a lot to the greater plot of One Piece. And, Oda's really ramping up the final theme of what he wants this final arc to be about, in my opinion.
I think that's the biggest thing. It's I think the story was good. I was very confused for, the first half. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And then when it sat down and explained what...
The plot twist is actually quite good. There's 3 plot twists. I think they're all good.
Yeah. When they explained Uta's ability, what it actually does, I was like, oh, that's
the
actually
scene
brilliant.
of Fujitora and Kizaru showing up was great.
I
those
think
were other good cameos. I would keep them as well.
I would keep one of them if I had to cut one of them. But I think both of them in there was also very good too.
Akayuno has a scene where he does a thing, and I was like, "There's my fucking goat." You know what I'm talking about? When he orders a certain thing to happen, I was like, "That's my boy."
Yeah. I want to mention this is the first One Piece movie where he is not having a shadow put over his face for no goddamn reason. We know what this idiot looks like. They act like he's a fucking the big bad guy that we've never seen before in all the other movies.
Another thing I want to bring up, I think this movie is a really cool Luffy movie, and it's really understated. But you get to the end of it, it's this is a very unique circumstance they put Luffy in that I don't think we'll ever see anything like it in the main story. So just for that, I think that's pretty interesting.
I agree there. It was very interesting.
That scene after the fight where he's talking to her was really good.
Yeah.
And also Shanks is really cool in this. He's really cool, dude. I'm a Shanks stan now.
I really like the final boss setup and how they had to take it down and what they had to do there.
There's some bullshit there, like the hockey mechanic that makes zero sense, but whatever. I'll let that slide.
You know what? Fine. We're already halfway through. We're already almost done with this movie.
But the scene of you know what, Joe? The theater went fucking crazy. The thing is, watching this in the theater with One Piece fans was so fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was empty for me. The people you were watching it with probably helps make it a lot more fun.
There's some Shank stuff and some Luffy stuff that people were popping up for. Another negative, aside from the cameos, I will say, is the action is just kind of nonsense sometimes. It's really hard to track.
I think the action in the movie is terribly edited. I could not figure out what the hell is happening half the time, or a character would do something, but it's all closed up on their faces that you can't actually see the hit that's going on.
There's some really cool action shots, and then some where it's I'm not really sure what just happened.
Yeah, it's very hit or miss.
So a good story. Uta is fantastic, and when you go into this movie, Bradley, for context, anything that is history in this movie is canon to One Piece. Anything that happens in present time is not.
Okay, so that's a good.
That's how you should view this. The stuff in the past, did happen. Joe, one final question. There's a character whose fate is kind of dark at the end of the movie. What do you think happened to that character? If
that character is very
that character's dead, you think?
Yes.
Even
100%.
in canon One Piece?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, we'll talk about that after, because I'm how would that play out? But okay.
I think it's I think that I don't know if they'll ever be brought up again in One Piece, but I think that character is dead.
Yeah, there's a good chance.
Yeah, which solves a lot of issues, I think, but we'll see how they play that out if they ever bring it up again.
I disagree, but we'll see. Okay, moving on. Joe, you beat God of War in, I think, 7 days?
Jesus.
No, I beat God of War in 3 days.
I'm a fool. I'm such a goddamn fool, yeah.
I beat God of War Ragnarok. I told Willa this. If they never make another God of War game, I will be completely happy.
Very interesting.
Very, I could not emphasize enough how, perfect of like a character arc for Kratos this has been, both in like the narrative sense and the meta sense of him as a character in the video game space. I will say.
To speak to that. Joe told me I'm a little over halfway through the game.
Yeah.
It is insane that they took what I consider to be the stupidest protagonist in video games. Like, I think Kratos is just... You know how I complain about edgy shit? Kratos is everything I hate.
Yes.
They turned that character into a double S tier. Not S tier, double S tier character.
Oh, yeah.
This character is incredibly good.
And the opening of the scene when Kratos and Atreus are hunting, they're like, all right, let's go back home, and he puts his hand on his shoulder. I was like, oh my god, the character growth. Like, it's
insane. It wasn't even that. It was the Kratos stuff with Freya that really highlighted how insanely good they're writing Kratos right now. It's kind of nutty.
When he has to go and explain like how he's gone through what Freya's gone through before.
Yeah.
And like she has to like, and you get the sense of like Freya's like, oh shit, I have misjudged this guy this entire time I've known him. Like it's
chef's kiss.
So good. And you're at the part now, Willer, where I think the story and like what's happening really popped off.
Yeah, because all right, let's talk a negative. I think this game is really poorly paced at times. For example, here's a big problem I had where like the game starts, you have a really cool fight, like you have the boulder fight in the first game. You have an equivalent fight. That shit's hype. Yeah. But for the first 5 hours of gameplay, you do almost nothing new from 2018.
Yes.
It is the exact same game, but more. And it looks prettier, and the combat feels a little better. But you don't have any new combat options. In fact, you have less than you ended with in the last game. So it feels kind of bad, man. However,
I do agree with that.
You start playing as another character. That character plays so fun.
Yes.
I love
shockingly fun.
Yeah, no, incredibly. Like, maybe more fun than Kratos.
Yeah, I was just like, because when I went to this game, I was like, oh, we're going to play with this character. And then I got to... Yeah, I just guessed that was going to happen, and I was just like, it's probably not going to be as good. And then it's like, oh no, this character has like a fully developed move set that they've designed.
They've really thought about it, yeah.
And they've somehow like made these enemies that were designed to fight Kratos, but are able to also fight this other character that plays completely different to him, and even like moving around with him, like just walking around space. Yes. And it's wild. Like, it's so good.
After those 5 hours, you start playing with that character. Now you jump back to Kratos. You got more things. They're mixing up the partners that you have a little more.
Yes.
The game starts spicing up. The plot's getting more interesting. I think like a point of getting interesting was Atreus at Ironwood. I thought that was a cool change of pace. It's been getting better since. But I have to admit, I'm 10 hours in. For a good chunk of those hours, I was like, I don't know if this is better than 2018. And now it's a toss-up. I'm hoping that by the end of it, I can confidently say... I was going to ask you, Joe, where do you land?
If I was to play God of War again, if I sat down, I was like, I want to play God of War again, as a general statement, I would play God of War 2018, and I would keep playing all the way through Ragnarok. It's kind of like a Mass Effect thing, where it's
Gotcha.
I will play this game and then I will keep playing until the end. I'm just gonna dedicate my next video game hours to just playing this entire saga again. Kind of
for Bradley and Tyler, who may not know what the series is like right now, this is planned to be a duology. This is the end of this storyline. There won't be a third. It's like a 2-part game, which isn't often done.
Man, so no one knows what's next for the franchise.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Hopefully nothing.
Well, Joe says nothing. Where it's weird that you want to live in a world where they're not going to milk as much money out of a product or IP as they can.
I haven't finished the game, but I feel like there's almost no chance it's nothing. I feel like after 5 or 6 years, we'll have Kratos or Atreus have to travel to Egypt to fix the problem.
Now, I was going to say there's a couple other subsets. So we have Hindu gods and we have Egyptian gods we can still go kill.
Mayan.
Yeah, dude, that'd be great.
Christian.
Yeah, Jesus.
I just think that if someone if Corey Balrog or whoever you want to contribute the idea of the saga to win, this is my plan. my goal is to redeem Kratos in both the eyes of like the video game community as like not a terrible character, but also as himself. Like he can look at himself and feel like as a complete person and feel redeemed what he's done. I think it accomplishes that goal.
Sure,
like,
but you could also have him like, okay, now let's move him to be like a prop, because a big thing of this game is Kratos does not want to get into conflict. He's afraid of where this will lead him. He doesn't like the person he becomes, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. Okay, but now he can fight for a force of good when like Egyptian whoever shows up is like, Kratos, please, Anubis is like really fucking up my round. We need you. It's like you could go places there.
You could, and like I think that is a thing, but it's off. I feel so satisfied with the ending here.
What if you start the next game and you're just chilling, all right? Mm-hmm. And you're sitting there making some stew, hanging out at the cabin. And then it's like the roof of your house gets torn off, and you get stormed. Yeah. So same shit. But then someone just like drops this staff down, grabs Kratos, and then just warps out of existence. And now it's Son of War.
Oh, I could totally see like the next God of War being Atreus.
I'm gonna let you know that's not possible.
Oh, did they kill him?
I don't like this conversation anymore. Shut the fuck up. Okay, a couple of things I have to say. I'm kind of mad, but whatever. A problem with this game.
I'm just joking. Like.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, nice save. No, a problem with this game is that every single section is 33% too long. Like universally,
I do think that
everything's too long.
I think that too. There's just some portions of the game that like there's like you've put in like one or two too many like combat encounters.
Did I really need to do 3 more combat encounters and also get all the apples with Abogado? That's not necessary.
I was getting very tired of that segment. Like honestly, I thought
every
it was a cool segment.
That's not even like every single segment leading up to it. And since the only segment I feel like has been well paced is Atreus climbing the mountain, which I think was excellent because I've come to realize I like characters literally overcoming obstacles while reflecting on their state of mind, like Luffy climbing the mountain in Drum Kingdom. That shit's fun. I hate the gear system in this game. Like they really will they're like, we're releasing a full budget $60-$70 game and we're gonna add in all the trappings, and it's like, bro, like I don't want that. I'm not gonna do any side content because I know it's like I did one side quest. It almost soured me on the experience because it wasn't 33% too long. It was like 50% too long. Like it gets really bad with those side quests.
I found the Valkyrie equivalent in this game. Those are fun at least. And I hear there's a segment of the game because I went on the God of War subreddit, and there's a segment of the game that a lot of people are like, there is so much good story here. I don't know why it was in the main game section.
That's the thing. Like. These sub-stories have excellent dialogue, but it's just too much gameplay. The puzzles also sometimes trip me up because, like, they don't explain puzzle mechanics, like, bit by bit, like Game Design 101. I mean, you don't have to follow, like, Game Design 101, right? But, like, when it comes to puzzles, it does hurt when it's like, I've never dealt with the environment in this way, and you're mixing it with 2 other puzzle pieces all at the same time. And also, like... I curse Uncharted. I think the game that did this was The Last of Us, where someone at like Guildhall started preaching this idea where if something's climbable, you have to mark it with yellow paint or something. And this game has so much of like everything that's climbable has wall markings on it, and it just like hurts the environment because it's like it's good game design, but like maybe do it for some things, but not others. Because it's very distracting when everything on the environment has, like, game design markings to let the player know that it's climbable or you can blow it up or something like that.
But then, like...
not every ledge needs the thing, okay? That's all.
Oh, but I can just totally see Willer getting stuck because he doesn't know he can go there on that ledge.
No, Joe, because I can press R3 and the camera points me in the right direction. That's all I need, okay?
Is that a feature? I've never used that feature, if that is one.
You have to turn it on, and I did it immediately because I did. I did it. No, hear me out. I did it so I know where the secrets are, and I did it when I don't want to go do secrets and I just want to progress the plot. Like, it's very functionally good. So get off my back.
One thing to also note here is that the accessibility features in this game are crazy good.
Yeah, they're very.
It's so good. But I'm at the after
Honeymoon.
the honeymoon stage, but also like in the game I'm in the part like, all right, I finished the main story and I can go do the side stuff now.
People do get really into it. To be fair, like I watched the girlfriend reviews they re-reviewed 2018 a day. That guy, like the guy of the couple, does everything in the game. And we have a friend Kyle, he does everything in the game. Where I'm like, I won't do a single goddamn side mission in this game. So we played it completely differently, which is pretty fun.
I can't fathom doing any of the side content while doing the main story. But that's always how I've done every like semi-open world game. I will not do side content until I finish the main story.
In summary, Bradley would love the story of these games.
I think so too.
I will say, like, within gaming right now, they're, I think, usually talked about as one of the best stories out there right now.
Yeah,
it's also really good. I think you'd get good vibes from it.
Also, I don't know how, but the camera work in this game is like 3 times as good as the previous game. Like
in the subtle moments, but in the high-paced moments. I was watching some footage of 2018. Actually, that's the last point I wanted to bring. Thanks for reminding me. And like, when you're like getting tossed around in that game, it feels more visceral and like. Kratos is jumping after the boy, and it feels really frantic. In this game, it's like really smooth transitions, and like there's a moment where you go from playing from character B back to Kratos, and that transition with the camera is like brilliant. And they do that all the time. The last main thing, like something I thought was missing from the narrative, and why I didn't get any narrative hooks early, is that throughout 2018, it is very strictly the story of a dad and a son who haven't ever connected really, having to connect over the death of the son's mother. That's like the base point.
It's a very
This game is
simple
not
story.
that. We're past that. So I was like, it's missing a je ne sais quoi. And I finally got it about halfway through the game, what the game actually is. And it's a scene where multiple characters are pissed at Atreus for wanting to do something. And it made me realize, this is a found family story now. It's not like this son-father bond. It is like a collective of a bunch of bumblefucks that I've grown to really like, and how they're forming a family around this crisis that they're dealing with, which is Ragnarok. And I was like, cool, I'm getting it. It took me a while to get there, but I'm on board now. Maybe I'm off base, Joe, but okay.
No, I had the exact same feeling. Because I was going through this, like, I was thinking because I was just like, 2018 very clearly from the standpoint of is... From a simple perspective level, it's about a son and a dad coming together in like a time of mourning and learning how to love each other finally. Yeah. And then it took me to that point to realize like, this is a story about more than just bloodline familial bonds, but people who have been abused in some way coming together to help each other out. Yeah. Really.
And it's great. And now that we're getting there.
Yes. That's why I was like, when you get to that section, I feel like the story really actually it starts to actually fall into place. And I think there's a lot of in that where you are right now, you need to go up to doors and like listen to what people are saying.
I really want, because Odin is so cool. Like this character is fascinating to me. And I just met Lady Sif and Awooga.
Oh yeah, I thought.
Whoa!
Did you meet Thrud yet or no?
No.
Okay. I think once you've hit that point, a lot of pieces start falling in place of like, this is what our story is about now.
Dope. All right. That's all I got to say, and you won't hear about this game until Game of the Year, where I will definitely have beaten it by then.
I'll just get my Willer updates and be happy with them.
Yeah. We got everything off. I'll just, next podcast in Free Talk, I'll be like, hey, it turned around and I loved it and I liked it more or less than 2018. Yada yada. Bradley, you read the Boondocks comic strip, which that's a deep pull. What's going on there?
This is a deep pull because you know what? I feel like most Boondocks fans, and definitely not me for the first few years that I loved the Boondocks show, I didn't know it was originally a daily newspaper comic like the fucking Peanuts or Calvin and Hobbes.
You didn't?
I didn't know that. I thought it was just a weird American anime because it looks like
No, it was a newspaper comic strip that ran in the
I
late
know that now.
90s,
Yeah,
early
yeah.
2000s. So it's fucking cool. I grabbed it, and mostly I just kind of want to talk about like the differences between it and the show and what it has in common. What it has in common is it's still fucking hilarious. Like it's really fantastic. And man, I think one thing I'm growing to appreciate about this is kind of like, and Aaron Magruder, the guy who wrote it, even talks a little bit about this and kind of his forward, that it's really, the art form of daily newspaper comics is really strange because he's at a place where he wants to construct it in a way where each week's 3 to 4 panels by themselves form a coherent and funny standalone joke.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to view each week's groups of panels back to back, it forms a funny and coherent storyline. And he's like, it's really difficult to write dialogue that way because I'm going to start writing dialogue that won't be finished for 2 more months. And it's like, this one portion of the dialogue has to be entertaining on its own, but also makes sense when you put it next to the comics before and after it. Which also just makes it cool to have a full collection of it. One of the big differences between the comic and the show that you'll notice immediately, though, is the show was made for Adult Swim and for an adult audience.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, do they say the words?
That's the thing. The Boondocks comic was on the same page that would have Marmaduke and Peanuts and Garfield.
Yeah.
Like, as far as I have read, which is through several years worth of comics, there's 0 curse words or N-words.
Wow. That's
like,
not even the same thing anymore in my mind.
That's the thing. You're sitting here and you're like, is that even the Boondocks anymore?
Do they not do the... have you not gotten to points where they use, like, just, like, @ sign and, like, just hashtags?
There's a few places where they'll use some, like, @ signs and hashtags, which mostly come from Riley. But
yeah. I remember reading the Boondocks as a kid on like some of the newspapers. I would see them like, this is a weird comic strip because, like you said, the guy wrote it like he did like a 3-week like punchline kind of thing. So you read it and be like, I don't know what any of this means because it's referring to something that happened 2 weeks ago.
So interesting.
Yeah,
and man, it's just I don't know. You would think taking away explicit language would take away a lot more than it does, but it's still pretty damn good. Mm-hmm. And you know, there's a bunch of people's takes on the Boondocks comic within this collection I have because even more so than the show, I think the comics, it's important to know what was happening the particular month that comic strip came out because it's very topical. But I think one of the number one things I wanted to talk about is that Aaron Magruder just kind of found a cheat code for getting anything he wants printed into the newspaper with this comic. Because there's a lot of stuff contained in the comic that at the time either they were, you know, opinion pieces that weren't allowed in a particular newspaper, or they were factual stuff that, you know, doesn't really sit well in the stomachs of the people who usually read the newspaper.
Suppressed news,
yeah. And so and this was even like, I don't know, this thought was even also addressed by other people writing about their reactions to Boondocks as it was coming out in this book, because they said they would look at comics and be like, how the hell did that get into a newspaper? And I think generally the way he did it is, in the show, Huey he's the smartest one and he's always right. It's basically people not listening to Huey the show. And to some degree that's true in the comic, but I think a big difference is Huey is made the butt of the joke much more in the comics. Because he'll have crazy conspiracy theories, like there's like a 1 month long storyline of him legitimately believing that Santa is working with the CIA.
He is 10, which has always been an aspect I like about him. When he's
like genuinely, and he like prints his own news journal to like distribute it to the masses and stuff.
That's a good bit though.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, like, Huey's the woke one and everyone else is quote unquote the normal people. So we see ourselves as the normal people. And so, like, I think what Aaron Magruder does here is he so often has Huey being the joke, like, oh yeah, Santa is working with the CIA, that in the same breath, or even in the next panel, he'll also have Huey say one of his other conspiracy theories, quote unquote, like, our school teaches an overly Eurocentric history and our standardized
Like the
tests
actual
use questions.
commentary gets slid in as a
Yeah.
punchline. Really
And
clever.
he'll say like, yeah, our tests in schools use questions that have been proven to result in lower scores for black students just because they grew up with a different culture. And then people will be like, in the story, like, oh, Huey, you're so crazy, you and your conspiracies. And he'll look at the camera and be like, yeah, I'm crazy, right?
That's fucking funny.
And that's the thing, apparently, like, especially at the time, that's stuff that you couldn't just print on the front page of a newspaper without making people really angry. And apparently it was a constant battle to even keep the Boondocks on the funny pages.
That's sounds like a good fucking comic strip then to have on the funny pages then.
Dude, it's a great comic strip.
What do I know?
I also just like, man, they could have made so many more seasons of the show because there's so much more content where that came from.
Bradley, as you're talking, I remember like you were kind of not down for season 4, even though Aaron was back. And the thing is, like, so much stuff has happened to like not just American culture but Black culture in the last, how long has it been since season 3? Like, I really wanted to see what Aaron had to say these days about like just the state of the world through these characters, because I love the Boondocks and I need to do like a full rewatch. I always like stop partway through, because man, they're like, that show is just so funny and I like the characters so much, and I just like the jokes and the commentary a lot. So it's like, it's a real bummer.
And that's interesting. Talking about characters, there's a lot more characters in the comic. And I think a big reason for this is because, one, they just, I mean, the more characters you have to animate and cast for in the anime, the harder it's going to be. But
the anime.
The Boondocks itself, so it started in like mid-1999, and Aaron Magruder was like, honestly, the Boondocks was probably going to end around the end of 2001 or beginning of 2002, because he's like, I felt like I made all my jokes. I was getting burnt out. I hated the deadlines. And he's like, I'm going to tell you right now, if 9/11 didn't happen, we wouldn't have the Boondocks how it is now.
Jesus Christ.
He said he woke up the morning of September 11th, and he's like, America has 2 eras, and it was the era before today and the era after today. And he's like, man, you know, after that, I never, ever, ever had trouble coming up with content for this comic again.
And the comic's done, right? And like, I feel like news of the new season came out around BLM protests, so it's like he had some fire in him.
There's a lot they could have done.
Dude, he was about to spit. I think what happened, if I have to speculate, is he had a ton of stuff to say, and then he remembered how much he hates working in like a television, animation field, and then bounced off.
Just so that I am, this is going to sound like a stupid question, but he is like Black, correct? In writing.
Oh yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure there just wasn't just a random.
Can you imagine?
I like.
Only Quentin Tarantino can get away with that shit. Somehow.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I just, because it's definitely like sometimes where you just read a comic or you read some form that's about, like, I don't know, a girl that is an actor and she's going through, and then that guy turns out to be a creep. It's
bro, you didn't have to like upset me today. I had forgotten about it. It's like when you read those manga that are like the most demeaning shit towards women in romance. It's like, a girl wrote this, and you're like, wait, what? Why?
That's
that's always weird.
Yeah, it's like I feel like there's always been a debate on like what's more important, the art or the artist who made it. And I mean, I feel like this is one case where it kind of matters who made it, because I don't know if some old white guy made the Boondocks, I'd be like, bro, really?
That guy, first of all, must really be in the in that culture. Like,
Uncle Ruckus would be their favorite character.
Oh my lord.
Is Magnificent in the comics?
Not that I've gotten to so far.
Damn.
But you know what? There's a lot of characters in the comics that aren't in the show. Like, for example, in the comics, there's another Black kid who lives in the neighborhood with Riley and Huey, and his name is Caesar, and he moved there from Brooklyn. And so honestly, usually it's Huey and Caesar lamenting like, "Oh my god, these white people are crazy." And it's funny because like there's a bit where Caesar is constantly like shouting out Brooklyn in his class, and the teacher's like, "No one else is from Brooklyn, Caesar." And then it's like, he goes up to the front to read his book report. He's like, "All right, but where are my Chicago heads at?" And Huey's like, "Let's go."
That's goofy.
That's
really
so
fun.
dumb, but it's good.
And then I'm almost done. I just want to talk about a few like bits that like you can see where some inspiration comes from in the show. Like for example, they have the plot line with Riley hating Santa.
So good, that one.
The contents of his letter are way different because he can't cuss, but honestly it's kind of funnier. He's like, "Man, you better hope you don't exist, because if I catch you slipping on a rooftop next year, I'm sending you back to the essence, Santa."
Dude,
And there's
Riley,
like
what a,
and there's
what
a couple other good storylines. Like Jasmine and Tom and Sarah actually move to the neighborhood after Huey does, and so Huey meets Jasmine. And he's like, "Oh my god, it's so nice to have another black girl in the neighborhood." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Well, what are you?" And she's like, "Well, my grandma's 1/4 German, and then her grandma was Polish, and then they're also like 1/8 British, and then she's like, my dad is 1/8 Cherokee, and then my grandpa came from Haiti." And Huey's like, "Yeah, you're black." And then like she goes through this whole arc of trying to accept that about herself, where like she's constantly arguing with Huey about what she counts
I
as.
think the show has traces of that, as I recall.
There might be traces of that too. I was just laughing at one where it's like 5 straight panels of her going on this monologue about like, "I was walking through the forest and I saw a big grove of red flowers, and there was a lone yellow flower in the middle, and it looked so lonely and different." And it's like, that's me, because I'm different than everybody else, because I'm biracial. And Huey's behind her with a magazine like, "Jasmine, you're black. It's okay." Really.
That's pretty good.
And the other one that I've been really laughing at is there's a bit where Riley's walking down the street in their neighborhood, puffing out his chest. He's like, "Don't nobody try to holler at me. I'll run these streets. I'll fuck anybody up." And then there's a mom walking with her daughter, and she sees Riley coming, and she clutches her purse and takes her daughter to the opposite side of the street. And Huey's like, "Let me guess, you're probably proud of that." And Riley's like, "Yeah, because they recognize who's in charge around here. They ain't gonna try to mess with me."
All these characters are so funny to me. Like, I was just like, Jasmine cracks me up so much on the show.
She's so good.
Naivete. I'm gonna message you after on how I could get my hands on these, because this seems like a fun read.
Oh yes, and you know what? I have a physical collection, so worst comes to worst, you can just borrow it.
Shit.
But yeah, very good.
All right, Joe. I'm gonna give you 3 minutes for Marvel Snap before I snap you out of existence.
Yeah, Marvel Snap is a is a new card game by Second Dinner, which is headed by well-renowned Ben Brode of Hearthstone fame.
I did not know that.
Yes, he created Hearthstone, so there's a lot of Hearthstone elements in this game. But it basically, Marvel Snap is a game where like there are 3 locations, and you make a deck of 10 cards, and the goal is to win 2 of the 3 locations by having the most points, quote unquote, essentially on the board at those locations to win the round. It's a very simple concept that is kind of thrown for a loop because the locations each have their own abilities, and your cards, of course, have their own separate abilities. I really like this game. I've played this game a shit ton. Quite literally, the first season pass ended, and I almost made it to completion twice.
From what I understand, you play this like almost every day, a little bit, right? Like it's a go-to.
Yeah, I can get like in the games are super quick. I get like 5 games in like very, very quickly, and like it's very easily to like go like, I'm gonna play a game, and then you end up playing 3 games because you just keep on playing like next match, and it's very simple in concept. And when you have a deck going, you know how much it's gonna be played out. I think my biggest gripe about this game is that its progression system is just kind of ass. Like
I'll just chime in here with my experience with the game is doing the tutorial, realizing I have no customization over my deck, and that I would run into like 7 mirror matches until I can make something new out of my deck, and then bouncing off immediately. Like it's so weird.
It's such a weird thing that they didn't give you like a kind of a track of like at least like, you know, picking a Pokemon kind of thing. Like, do you want to collect Guardians cards first, or X-Men cards, or Avengers cards, like whatever. Just something to give you some, just to spice up the card pool for that initial like grouping for a minute, right?
When you start something like Teppen released with 8 characters, 2 of each color. Each one of those has a default deck, so it's like, at the very least, I'll go play Rathalos and you go play Wesker, and we'll have a completely different experience even from the get-go.
Yeah, and I think that was my big issue too. I've eventually gotten to the point now where like a lot of the decks I'm playing against have some good variety to it, and they also like have developed a way to like just insert new cards without doing huge updates. Where like they're like, we finished this card, we're going to put it into the game, and then now it's potentially there for you to unlock once you get past a certain part. What's also very weird about this game is that the way you collect, there's no way to purchase new cards. Like, the monetization in this game basically is purchasing new skins for cards that you already have. The way you get new cards, like entirely, like completely new characters, is leveling up the card skins that you have to like more premium modes. So you might have like the basic version of Iron Man, and then you spend some like in-game credits for him, and you upgrade him to like the uncommon version of him, like artistically. It doesn't change his function in the game, it just changes how he looks on the card a little bit. And that can go up to like 5 different levels. And then you can get a different version of Iron Man, like it could be like chibi version Iron Man as like an example, and you can go through the same process, and they're the same card functionally, mechanically, so you can swap them in and out of your deck. The only difference is that like you can basically level up that card again to unlock more cards that you can then put into your deck. It's hard to explain. It's a weird linear like upgrade your cards to level up your cosmetic score. Once your cosmetic score gets to a high enough level, you'll be granted a random card, a brand new random card that gets added to your pool that you can then purchase new variants of, which is the monetization of that game. I have no reason to spend money on this game other than for the like season pass stuff, which I have bought. I bought the last one, I bought this one, and I'm going through them because I'm having a good time and I enjoy doing it. But like everything else in the shop is just not worth doing.
All right, Joe. Any last words before I snap you out of existence?
Yeah, it's a good game. I highly recommend it. That's it.
It'll come back in Game of the Year, and at which point you can say more words if you feel differently.
Yeah.
I have a Marvel block. I have just a little bit to say about these 3 things. I think you guys are gonna have fun with this one.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll get started first. I watched Moon Knight, the TV show.
Uh-huh.
Tyler, you've seen Moon Knight as well, right?
Yeah.
All right.
I saw Moon Knight as well.
And so, okay. I quite like Moon Knight. I thought it was pretty good. In fact, it's one of the better things. It's one of the best things in Phase 4, I'll say.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all agree.
I agree. I was shocked at how much I enjoyed Moon Knight.
I think it's hard carried, and I think, Joe, you told me this when you talked about it on the podcast. It's kind of hard carried by Oscar Isaac.
Oh, yeah. The dude's playing 2 characters, like, shockingly, and really well.
And, like, the thing is, Steven's kind of annoying, and that's kind of what put me off at start. I've come to enjoy him. Mm-hmm. And the finale's not good, necessarily, but, like, which of these shows has a good finale? They really, really struggle with that. I think Hawkeye has the best finale, but it kind of has that lull in episode 5 and 4 still. So, like, it... You saw
the post-credit scene of that finale, right?
With Jake? Yes. That's...
Yes.
I'll just go ahead and spoil it for the world. I thought Khonshu was cool. I think Layla was so lame. And I think that's, like, my least favorite part of the finale is when she gets, like, a lot of play as well. Mm-hmm. But there's, like, some cool visuals, like them, like when Khonshu does his powers, they always look cool, which is not very often. And the flashback episode's great. They went some really dark places.
Yeah.
With that story and Mark's backstory, to where, like, Mark is now one of my favorite Marvel characters. I made it like a tier list of characters the other day just for funsies, and I gotta say he's, like, in my top 5 or 6. Tyler, what did you think of Moon Knight?
It reminded me of a sci-fi original in terms of, like, quality and, like, animation and effects.
Yeah, that hippo doesn't look great, but
Yeah.
And
It was
was very
definitely a
annoying.
fun ride. Probably my favorite TV show, but I'm also a slut for Egyptian gods, so
Yeah, I mean, but it was cool, right? Aside from like them being like, someone's resurrecting Ahmed. I wonder who could it be? Like, shut up, y'all. It's obviously Arlo.
Yeah, that was a weird kind of thing. Like, nah, it's not this guy. It's like, what? It's that council was made up of a bunch of doofuses.
I liked his powers too. I liked when they're fighting as both of them near the end. That shit looked really cool. All right, cool. Moving on. Y'all, I promised for real I watched the Eternals. You have to believe me. Like,
okay.
I love the part where Superman came and Tony Stark had a good scene. Not much to say. We'll talk about Ms. Marvel. Okay, no. The Eternals, right?
Man.
I like the main conflict of this movie with like, hey, we have a memory disease and we were sent to Earth, but actually there's more to that mission than meets the eye.
Yeah.
Like, that part's fucking cool.
Yeah.
And like, I kind of like a lot of the Eternals. Like, they're by no means the most interesting characters, and they don't have much time to get fleshed out.
Mm-hmm.
But and like, the show has, or the movie has to kind of cheat by being like, hey, you know this dynamic that the two of us have and have always had, and the viewer is seeing for the first time now because we just haven't had time to set that up. It's like you kind of have to roll with the punches because there's so many characters and like none of their powers are that interesting. But like there's cool stuff like Druid getting fed up with like giving a power that is used exclusively on humans and all he can do is erase their minds. Or
see, like, he was my favorite character because he was interesting in that, like, I'm going to take these people and go make my own cult.
I also like Kingo. Like, I like how Kingo did not come back to the fight. That, like, any other movie would have been like, hey, this guy doesn't want to participate in the fight, but he's going to show up at the last second. He's just like, no, I kind of agree with Icarus, but I'm not going to fight my family. I was like, that's kind of refreshing.
Yeah. What's funny is that people complained about that when it came out.
Sure, I get it. I get why they would. But at the same time, I think there's cool aspects to that. Y'all, ultimately, I kind of like this movie, for being honest.
What'd you think about the sex?
The lamest sex I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But I think Cersei is fine, and Rob is a good-looking man. So,
my thing is like you have this big cartoon villain who is just kind of shoehorned in, like the thing is, people call him the villain. He's not the villain. Icarus is the villain. Like, that's what I'm saying is that like they just have this like that's why I call him the cartoon villain. He's not the villain. He's just like a big monster that's just like, oh, we're gonna have him show up. I would have liked it more if they got rid of what do they call it? Dementors, deviants. If they got rid of them, like in that village scene, like, oh, we get them on. It's like we solved the problem. Like, what the fuck? But then like some other stuff is still happening, and then we'd learn more about Icarus, and then
I would have liked the deviant having to fight with them, and Thena having to come to terms of like teaming up with him to stop Icarus or something like that.
Maybe.
I think that's another way they could have taken that. But like, okay, this is like probably still a mid movie. Mm-hmm. It's like still probably not even in the bottom 4 of Phase 4 for me. If we're being honest, it was fine. It was like, and this might be a shot. I came in again, maybe because I came in expecting shit. But even you guys said, like, when I asked y'all, should I watch this movie? Y'all didn't definitively say no back then. You're like, yeah, it's not that good. You could skip it. So,
I mean, we didn't say no, but we're just
exactly.
But it also was just like I felt very bored. I was like, I walked out of that movie not feeling anything, which is why I was just like, it's not worth my.
I didn't feel that bored. I was on board for the conflict.
Like, there's a lot of this movie.
To be fair, I watched this in 3 parts, and maybe that's why I did get bored.
That might be it. Yeah. And like that's the other thing. I sat in a movie theater like and strapped to my seat watching this movie. I think also it's just, like there's a lot of stuff on paper that I was like, this is a great idea, but in execution, I was just like, something's not clicking here, and I can't. Now I've only seen it once, so I might watch it again and realize like, oh, this is not bad at all.
No, as someone who vaguely enjoyed this movie, it's fine. You don't have to.
But that's how we felt. It's like you don't have to. Like that's
because here's the thing, like. It's like the origins of the Earth. It's actually like super important, and
yes.
Like there is a fucking giant ice block in the middle of the ocean that no one talks about.
Yes.
I don't know. It's weird, but it wasn't awful. There is something great. Like, this movie could have been refined into something genuinely great, but I don't think it's dog shit. I would say Thor is much worse than this. Black Widow is worse than this, and controversially, I think Loki is worse than this. So,
wow, really?
Yeah, I am not a fan of Loki.
Even after the ending.
That is the good scene of that show. That's not enough. Also, the speedster girl, the scene where she's fighting Icarus is really cool. I like that a lot.
I think there are a lot of good action sequences in that movie, but
yeah, the camera work in some of them, like when they're panning from each Eternal, they all have generic powers, but when you throw them together, it's pretty neat. I was like, the weakest part of the movie, aside from like having to rush some of these characters, and something that really keeps it from being great, is that final act. Like, the last deviant was not good. The way that Icarus flip flops, he's like very diehard for the quest, and like he just flips on a dime. Like, there's no progression of him being down for Arisham's plan and then not being down. He's like, I'm 100% down. I am in front of Cersei now. I am back down to 0. I am so not down that I'm going to go kill myself in the sun, which is the stupidest scene of the movie. So dumb.
So funny.
But there's worse things than it. Black Adam better. So we'll just throw that out there. And then I am 4 episodes into Miss Marvel. Tyler, have you seen this one?
Yeah.
What did you think of this one, actually? I haven't finished it, but...
Miss Marvel is probably one of the lowest rated things IMO. I felt like I was watching a Disney original TV show. Like, yes, that's what it is, but no, I'm like talking like Disney Channel, and
as I recall, Joe, you liked the first few episodes, not the last ones too much.
Yeah, like, I liked it more when she was just in Jersey and taking care of her friends, and like it was more confined there. But then
you liked the Disney Channel episodes, and
yeah, like,
and you know what? So did I. And then I hit episode 4, and I was like, "This plot is such a nothing burger. I am so uninvested
is that when
in
she
the
goes
plot." When she goes back to
Pakistan?
Yeah, Pakistan.
Yeah, like, I was just like, why? Like, first of all, how did she get there? Like, it's like she just gets on the plane and goes.
She
like,
convinced her mom, I guess. Like,
I was shocked. Like, I thought the climax would be there, not episode 4, if we were ever going to go there, kind of a thing.
And I remember you telling me this. The editing starts fantastic and then peters off, and
yeah, because they had like the
still some of the best. Like, no, but the action scene in episode 4 was as badly edited as everything else in like the mid-tier episodes of these shows. So, well,
what I liked was like when she's like walking through the street and she's texting, and the texts are part of the background and stuff like that.
And then they resorted to just showing the iPhone bubbles.
And I at first I thought that was like, oh, she's not as happy, so obviously it's a kind of like showing a mood shift in her. Like, she's just kind of like seeing them as messages, not part of her life.
Nah.
You know?
In episode 4, there's barely any of like those fantasy flourishes that.
Yeah,
they do this a lot, where they pay so much attention to the first few episodes of these shows, and then don't give a shit for the last 2-ish, 3-ish.
Yeah, it was so upsetting because like I was really vibing with like, oh, she felt like Kamala Khan felt like a very modern teenage junior high girl.
Yeah,
like, she's like, we're gonna go play Smash Bros with my friends, and we're gonna hang out, and like,
I will say, out of everything I've talked about, which should just be, I guess, Moon Knight, because Bradley's seen Eternal, I'm very curious on what Bradley would think of the first episode or 2 of this show. Because I know you're a big Kamala fan. I think Kamala and her actress are fantastic. Like, I really, really like how they're doing it. So I'm curious if like she's up to snuff for a Kamala fan like yourself.
I'll say, like, anytime she's in a video game, she's the character I play as. So like whenever they announced this show, I was slightly more excited, but then I think as more and more of it came out and I heard other people on the internet getting mad about it, I was like, maybe it's not good after all, because everyone knows people on the internet are always right.
Honestly,
here's
watch
the thing:
those first
if you're
episodes.
gonna watch it because people are mad about it, I would definitely say still watch it.
Yeah, that's not. People are mad about everything that's popular. So
it's true.
Yeah, I mean, give those first episodes a try, and then honestly drop it if you're like, I like it, but not too much, because I don't know if it'll get better.
I would almost say watch the first like 3 episodes, and then read summaries about what happened, and then just watch the last episode because it gets back to being a little bit smaller in scope. I think.
I have a suspicion that we're going to do the incel nice guy as the final roadblock of the series, but we'll see how that goes.
Well, what's funny is that's what happens. No, it's not. No. I'm thinking of the wrong stereotype. No. Okay. Go on.
I like her friend Nakia. She's fun, and her parents are also fun. Like the characters are good. It's just like the plot is kind of bleh, and I just can't get behind her powers. I'm sorry. Like if you can't, sure, I get it. We can't adapt her stretchy powers. Then don't fucking adapt her. Like if you can't do it justice, just let this one go. Like they're so greedy. You don't have to make money off of everything. Just let this one slide if you can't do it right.
I feel like also I would be more accepting if like she still did the stretchy powers, but they have to make the excuse of the crystalline stuff coming over her. Like at least then they could cheat a little bit. But I agree.
Like her power in this is Green Lantern-esque. I can make hard light.
Yes.
Like, and it's just like, nah, dude, give me the gum Gatling. Like, come on, man. Don't adapt her if you're gonna cheat. Yeah. But that's all I got to say about those. Tyler, no wait, we also watched Wakanda Forever.
We did.
I'm gonna watch Wakanda Forever.
You have not watched this, right, Tyler? So we'll go through it quickly. I'm surprised you haven't, because Kelly's all over that. Joe,
they've been fucking camping.
We're almost done. Joe, what did you think of Wakanda Forever?
I really liked Wakanda Forever. I thought it did a very good job with the circumstances they were given because of Chadwick Boseman's unfortunate passing, and I think it was very respectful in that matter.
Yeah, kind of miraculous, really.
Yes. I think all 3 of the main actresses were phenomenal in this movie.
Especially Angela Bassett, who plays the Queen. Holy shit. She's acting like her life depended on it.
Oh, yeah. Namor. I came in the movies like, Namor's going to be whatever. I came out, I was like, that guy is fucking awesome. Like,
Namor is probably my favorite part of the movie. I don't know what it is about these Black Panther movies, but they are kind of meh movies for me that have fantastic villains. Like, I really like Killmonger and Namor.
The one thing I have about this movie is that this movie is like 2.5 hours long, and it felt like 3 hours.
This movie is fucking boring at times. Like, just I don't use that word often. I'm usually very accepting, and it's like doing character stuff, but like it's just kind of a drag at some points, and that really put it down.
Also,
a little bit.
It doesn't help that it's also very sad. At certain points.
This is an upsetting movie. Given they did not, which I'm glad. Like they're gonna make the usual comedy affair when they're dealing with both like important societal issues, but also the death of a family member. So I think they handle that well. The thing is, despite this being like a genuinely boring movie, I would still say it's good because the overall story about revenge, those cycles, about kind of like them versus us, I think it's all played really well, and they turned Shuri from a nothing character to like a genuinely good character by the end.
Yeah. I highly recommend this one out of all the Phase 4 stuff. Like, it's definitely the one that's worth the watch out of everything.
I guess. Out of the movies, for sure, it's definitely the best Phase 4 movie for me.
What about Shang-Chi?
Shang-Chi would be the next best.
Yeah.
What about Doctor Strange 2?
That would be
probably
the next
one
best.
after that. Yeah.
And
okay. There's not a lot after that.
And then Spider-Man and Eternals and big power gap. Thor. Fucking Thor is so booty. That's all I really have to say, and I don't want to spoil anymore.
I think it's worth just going in and watching it. I think it was very, very good. Bradley, I think you would love this movie, actually. I think you would cry a lot.
Is it by Aaron Magruder?
Can you say that?
I don't know.
Bradley, did you like Black Panther 1?
I only ever saw bits and pieces of it on TV when visiting family. I never saw the whole thing all the way through.
Because I don't think you would like I don't know if you would particularly care about this. The thing is, like, man, Namor's cool. I think and I think he's gonna show up more. Basically, Namor shows up in the very first Marvel comic, but he's such a weird character archetype that they haven't done him yet. So it's cool that they actually nailed it. He's like a dude who is a anti-hero Aquaman with little wings on his feet, so he can fly and swim good. And they made that work in live action. The wings were only slightly stupid.
Look, I'm just waiting for the next big movie like Infinity War that I'm required to watch, and then I'll wait for people to post the list of shit that I have to watch. I'll watch it.
The thing is, Bradley, it's gonna be like none of this connected, but the next one's gonna connect everything, and you're gonna be stuck in this weird situation where you watch a bunch of disconnected movies that
are be out of the loop.
Viewing. Yeah, it's weird. Watch Moon Knight. Moon Knight good.
Yep.
All right. Modern Warfare 2 2.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I hit the mic.
I like this game.
Over. The Discord's been playing a lot of Modern Warfare. I've played my government mandated amount as well.
Yeah. I really enjoy this game. It makes me feel like I'm playing Modern Warfare back when I was a kid.
But Shoots just launched today, Willer.
Shoots did launch today.
That's right. DMZ launched, which holds special significance. I'll have to check that out for sure. The thing with Modern Warfare 2 is you're right, Joe. It does remind me of playing old Modern Warfare in all the best and worst ways. Like, the thing that this game makes me do is appreciate Splatoon more because I forgot how much I hate the spawning system in Call of Duty, which, with the exception of search and prisoner rescue, where you're not dealing with that everyone spawning behind you at all times and you have to go camp in a corner to not get capped from the side. That shit's so frustrating, man. And I'm having a good time with the lads and the lasses, and then we play one bad hard point, and I'm like, I'm good.
I just, to me, I am so just kind of so I play a lot with our Discord, but I have another set of Discord friends that I play with, and playing with them is very funny because they don't hit that stereotypical Call of Duty player, but they get very close in their frustrations in their language, and I'm just like, very interesting. Awooga. But it's one of those things. But God, it's so funny though. Talking to people in Call of Duty is the funniest fucking thing ever. It's so funny.
It just makes me upset that it is as bad as it is. I know Tyler's like, oh, it's so funny that it's still this way, and I'm like, it's upsetting that these
human beings
can't
can't
play this game. It's
man. We were playing Search and Destroy, and that guy dies in the bomb, and Tyler came on chat. I was like, that guy died to the bomb.
Okay,
what an idiot.
One, that shit was hilarious because they were talking shit, and Tyler hit him with 6th grade insults that made them so angry.
That's so fucking funny.
That was a counter measurement, and it was all below or all above the belt. That was good.
We were playing with a group of friends of ours, and we were playing Knockout, which is very much like prisoner rescue, but you're just taking one bag in the middle. And as soon as the first round went, we lost the round. The people on the other team were like, "You suck ass! You suck ass!" They're just going like that the entire time. So eventually, we just started talking smack back.
No,
and
see, this is a problem.
but very much 6th grader, same thing Tyler was doing. And then they matched, and we won the whole round match. And we're like, all right, GG, shake my hand. And they immediately all disconnected.
See, but you shouldn't be proud about being brought down to their level. To me, this is a mark of shame. A warrior would never.
This is so funny because we made the rage quit over nothing. We just didn't care. But it's so funny to see that community just completely still be just abhorrent. It's so bad. You could be doing you could literally said nothing, and that guy comes on the microphone and is just spouting the N-word for no reason, and we're like, God, what the fuck is happening? I have a great time. I personally enjoy this much more than Splatoon. That is my opinion. Splatoon
that's a battle for another day, my friend. The thing is, like, I think Splatoon subverted a lot of the issues. Like, the thing is, Call of Duty can't change from this way because of the way it's built around kill streaks. So it's like, they can't have set spawns because kill streaks will just fuck that system right up, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
But Splatoon is like, your skill streak is one big super, so it's not as oppressive, and all you need is like one person to break through, and then everyone can spawn on that person, so it's more controlled.
I feel like Splatoon gets very snowbally, which is my problem.
Joe, we also sucked that round.
Dude, we were doing so bad that night. Oh my god.
No skill-based matchmaking and just regular-ass matchmaking. Like, it just blows my mind.
But the thing is, even then, it's like, at least no one's spawning right before me and capping me. Like, I have to fight. I have to fight with a squad through, like, which is why I like Prisoner Rescue, because Prisoner Rescue has that set spawn, and you're like, okay, fair playing ground. Let's just play. Whoever's best wins.
Playing Splatoon, I felt like I was making no impact on the game whatsoever at all the time.
Man,
like,
when you're the carry in one of the ranked modes, you feel like a god.
Dude,
I'm sure.
Me and Emmy were looking back through my fucking Splatoon replays I've saved, and I felt like such a fucking beast watching those.
I could never be that. Unfortunately, I'm just not that guy when it comes to Call of Duty, because I'll be doing all right, and then bam, sniper from the side. But you know what? Like, it is like, as far as a Call of Duty goes, it's like one of the great ones, right? Like, it's just like, it's just that it's bringing back those memories that I forgot, that I'm like, ooh, I feel like I'm just raging as a 13-year-old once again.
Yeah,
But most of the time, it's very fun playing with y'all. It's probably because it's with friends, to be fair.
Yeah, I have a good time just playing by myself, and it's one of those games too where, like, if I get halfway through a match, I'm like, I'm kind of done. I can just leave, and I'm not gonna be affected by it anyway.
True.
Like, that's what else I really like about it. That's the other thing about Splatoon. Fucking one person disconnects. Oh, we got to shut the whole game down again.
Oh yeah, the online is. To be fair, the online is equally shit for both games.
My online's been fine. I don't know about yours.
Dude, we have to do like so much shuffling to get into a match with Call of Duty. We have to like, okay, everyone back out, everyone rejoin. Oh shit, we lost Ashland. Oh shit, we lost Willer.
I think that's a crossplay thing, and I think that's been resolved because we have not for a while had that issue.
I haven't played this week. I mean, I had it last time I played, which was, I think, over the weekend. So I guess we'll see.
But yeah, I really like this Call of Duty. I think it's very, very good. I'm happy that I purchased it. I don't feel like it's a waste of my money.
I'm keen to check out DMZ and I'll play a little bit of Warzone. I don't know, like, I guess Battle Royales don't have the same issue as like something like Domination would for me, so maybe I'll enjoy it more as that as well.
They have their own issues.
Yeah, they have different issues, but I think they're more manageable in my brain. Final topic. I'm sorry, y'all. I told y'all it'd be a long one, but I think still somehow
it's only
under
been 3 hours. We're below our 1 hour cap.
I never thought I'd say this, but Tyler listened to the first arc of Pact. Holy shit!
It was good.
Yay!
Yeah, I enjoyed
Cheering.
it. I did not Willer said, it's about this, and I was like, yeah, that sounds good. I'll do that. And then here we are.
Yep.
I will say, already in section 2, getting into a little bit of a lull.
Yeah, he's
with, like, Wild Bow's Edgelord, I'm gonna do it all myself writing.
What in particular? I'm trying to remember.
It's kind of what's the main character?
Blake.
Yeah, just the way that Blake is interacting with Rose and being like, I'll do it all myself. I don't know. I have a weird feeling that we're going to follow a similar path between Blake and Laird as we did Skitter and
Arms Master?
Dude, no, the split guy.
The who?
Who's the guy who split himself into multiple times?
Coil.
Oh, Coil, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want to see that same plot line again.
I mean, Bradley, do you think that it plays out similarly? Because I think their dynamic is fairly different and plays out very differently.
I would say so.
There's already 60 characters I got to keep track of. So.
For sure. I mean, that's Wild Bow for you. He loves those characters.
Yep.
As far as Blake and Rose, their dynamic is one of my favorite parts of the story.
It was a perfect book.
Yeah, you're gonna stay in that. You're gonna stay feeling like that until near the end of Arc 2, I think. So
I expected so.
Just to prime yourself, but I think Arc 3 is where the story kicks off a lot, where they're officially in the world now. Blake and Rose have like a way that they interact, and they start making moves towards the plot.
Yep.
I was gonna ask, like, the one big question I had, like, do you have any expectations or predictions of how the story will go, or like how certain characters will pan out?
I think Rose is the summoned demon.
You think Rose is Barbatorum?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what makes. Well, there's a lot of things that make Arc 1 great, but I think among those things is how much is set up right there, because you already have this relationship with Rose where, you know, they have to be allies because they're all each other has, but then there's also a bunch of moments of them not trusting each other, and then also at the end of the arc we find out about this demon that's for some reason apparently not in its circle, and there's all. So it's like, damn.
Yeah. I like the awakening process. I like the townspeople and like the cosmic karma that exists in the universe.
Yeah, those are the vibes I think you'd really like, is like that the karma system, and also the swamp town weird family of blonde women that are in a coven kind of vibe. But like those kinds of things, I feel like you could weirdly relate to your childhood somehow.
Yeah.
Because you also lived in weird swamp town that was South Park in Texas.
Swamp Town, Texas.
Bradley, did you have any curiosities of Tyler to ask as he's starting the story?
I don't know about curiosities. I just wanted to hear about any cool moments or anything like that.
I don't know if I've had any so far. I've just been really good with the pacing, I guess.
I think that's a big, that's a huge benefit that this has, especially over Early Worm, is like at the end of the first chapter, we're in the story. Like, we're already doing it.
Yeah, because I think the first chapter ends with like the Blake and Rose scene, where she's like, you have to run, and then we kick off from there.
Yeah, she's like, run away right now or you're gonna die. And that feeling kind of never stops.
To me, to that point of the story, the highlight scene was the Awakening Ritual, like you said. And also, I think you've already met with Laird once in the like coffee place, right?
Yes.
I like that scene as like a show of what that family can do with time magic, and you don't understand what just happened. And I think it like leaves a nice mystery hook for what all they're capable of. I will say I like the story, but I didn't love it until Arc 3. So just keep that in mind. Joe.
Interesting.
Joe just sent me some fucking memes. I mean, if that's all you got to say for now, Tyler, we can wrap up there.
Yeah.
Oh shit, does anyone have a final send-off quick question of the day?
What fantasy family do you want to spend Thanksgiving with?
That's a fun one.
And you can't say something that someone else already says. So very quick.
What do we want to spend Thanksgiving with?
What fantasy family? Like, I don't know, the Straw Hat Pirates.
The Thornberries.
I wouldn't want to do the Straw Hats because I wouldn't get to eat a goddamn thing.
Yeah, well, no. Sanji cooks enough.
Yeah, you just won't get to eat most things because Luffy ate it.
Luffy will eat more than you. That's the thing.
Fuck, I don't know.
The Proud Family. I bet they cook some good food.
I want to have Thanksgiving with the Crystal Gems and Steven.
Oh no!
Too bad, Bradley. Too slow.
Oh, that's actually great.
That's a good one.
God,
that's a good answer. Would you have Thanksgiving with Huey and Riley?
Fuck yeah!
No.
Actually, I would.
Man, it kind of depends.
They'd be like annoying little cousins.
Like, if it was a normal day of the week and it's just them being their personalities, that would be great. But if it's one of the off weeks and they have some supernatural being attacking their fucking house, I don't want to be part of that.
Fair. I don't want to be in one of like the wacky episodes. I won't survive.
Well, it's just a normal Thanksgiving dinner.
And Tyler wants to eat with the Thornberries, his historically favorite family, I guess.
I know, right? I mean, they're cool. They're out in Africa. They're seeing monkeys.
Yeah.
That,
Cool. I mean,
that's all I got.
recent pick, I'd like to eat with like a Kratos in the gang. I think that would be fascinating. I want to give Atreus a hug and tell him to stop being a dumb little asshole. And I want to give Kratos a hug and rub his forehead.
One thing that I didn't mention about God of War is there are some flashback sequences that I've really enjoyed in that game.
Don't know if I got to any aside from like some dream sequences. But anyways,
they're dream sequences. Like Kratos has one at the very beginning of the game.
Yes, I like that. It was interesting. Okay, y'all. We had that's the longest we've had in a while, but also like shit, we got through a lot. I think we did a good job. All right.
Yeah.
Probably at most one more Roundabout cast, and then look forward to our Game of the Year cast as we always do.
It's gonna be a good one.
This is good. Every year I'm like, next year won't be that heated. I probably won't like that much stuff, and then I get to the end of the year, it's like, oh, it's actually worse than last year.
Dude, this year's kind of stacked.
It's actually gonna be harder for me personally to like sort.
It's unfortunate,
and it's gonna be extra hard to fight for the right ones. So, have fun.
February next year is also stacked. Fun fact: like every game's coming out next year in February.
Breath of the Wild and what?
There's a list. I know for a fact there's a list because I've been like, oh, this game, it's coming out. When's it coming out? Oh, it comes out here. I was like, fuck. I'll have to find a list.
The One Piece the One Piece game is going to be the funnest 7 out of 10 I've ever played. And then this guy is either going to be the most interesting multiplayer experience of my life or another heartbreak in a series of back-to-back heartbreaks.
You saying me that about One Piece, that it's going to be the best 7 out of 10? I'm like, do we need a tier list of 7 out of 10 games?
It would be that is a wide goal.
To find the best 7 out of 10 game and the worst 7 out of 10 game.
There's some contenders.
Let's see. Coming out in February, we got Dead Island 2, Hogwarts Legacy, Wild Heart, Atomic Heart, Like a Dragon Ishin, Horizon Call of the Mountain, Bloodborne 3, Company of Heroes 3, Kirby's Return to Dreamland, Octopath Traveler 2.
Well, you said
Kerbal Space Program 2.
You said Bloodborne 3.
Yeah,
Blood Bowl 3.
Something slipped in there.
Blood Bowl 3.
I was like, what have I missed?
Yeah, where have I been?
Anyways, all right. You can send that to us after. I gotta free the boys. All right, bye everyone. Thanks for joining.
Oh yes.